what are the Russians willing to give back? Now, I don't know if they're going to be willing to give back anything. You got a warm water port. You got all the area that you've got when it comes to truly the richest areas of Ukraine. Are they willing to say, we'll give you back a portion of this based on this? And I think that's the discussion. I think one of the very first parts, I don't even think it's up for discussion, Ukraine's not going to join NATO. Okay, like that's not happening. As much as they're all, see if we can get into NATO.
Not happening.
Part of what started all of this was the Russians warning everyone across Europe, including us for years, Ukraine's not going to be part of NATO. We do not want a NATO ally on our border. We do not want a NATO ally on our border. And yet we kept pushing them further. Eventually, this is what was going to happen. So if we're going to start with the grounds of they're not going into NATO, okay, what will you give them back? Maybe you can get a deal done. But, if you're Putin, there's going to have to be some other concessions because there's no reason to give back anything you've already got.
And you're winning.
Then you're winning.
Because
yes.
If you would take the rest of it. Trump said it yesterday. If I'm not president, they just take it all.
I think it was like 2.5 years ago when I tried to tell everyone on X, I'm like, hey, the Russians are winning. And all that. What do you mean they're winning? Well, I was like,
MSNBC says they're not.
What do you think I'm telling you? The Russians are winning. I'd love to go back. I'll go back during the break because this is going to obviously be a storyline throughout the entirety of the day. Sure. The amount of people who had swallowed the propaganda that the Russians were not winning. The Russians have taken the major port, and they've taken the areas that are predominantly Russian-speaking. They have taken those, and those, when you look at the natural resources, are the richest areas of Ukraine. They control them all.
All the energy comes from.
They can train it all.
Food comes from.
They've already won. Now, did they take Ukraine whole? No, they didn't. Okay. So does that give the Ukrainians a chance to fight back? No, they don't have the manpower.
No, they don't.
They don't have the material and the manpower.
Their average soldier's 45 years old and are in bad shape.
That's putting us in the field.
That's right. Exactly. Dude, we were laughing yesterday.
You know who wins wars? 20-year-olds.
That's right. We were laughing yesterday about doing the, because you pulled up the ice jobs.
We're going over 40 ice jobs.
Right. We're going through, can we get through some of the physical activities? And I'm not convinced that I could, which is exactly the point of having 45-year-olds on the front lines in Ukraine. They're not able to do it either. They just physically can't do it.
They're going to have to meth them up so hard and just keep them moving.
That's why Gallup says 69%. And this is Gallup, which I don't always trust, but we'll give them we'll trust them here. 69% of Ukrainians in favor of a negotiated end to the war.
Yeah.
As soon as possible. 69%, according to Gallup. I bet the number's higher. I bet that's a low number.
You had protests that busted out 2 weeks ago. Our media showed it to us for 5 minutes and then had to go hide it and put it away.
Yep.
This is what's going on. The Ukrainian people are done with this thing by and large. And they want to go back to being able to go back to church, go back to have elections, go back to have free speech. These are all things that Zelensky, say what you want to. He's going to save the world. He's the noble guy. There's in the interest, we're fighting this for freedom. There's a whole lot of these things that went away. Now, would it be worse under Putin? Probably. Probably. But, what is it? The old saying, two wrongs don't make a right?
Exactly. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, Zelensky's just as corrupt. I don't know how to answer that.
Ukraine is just as corrupt of a place.
That's what I'm saying. So.
And we installed this entire thing.
Yeah, which is gross.
So, all right. So good luck in Alaska.
Gross.
See if we can get some more peace in this world.
11:30.
That's good for everybody.
It is. Absolutely right. And if you're not cheering for peace, I'm not sure what you're doing. 6 o'clock hour is brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett. When we come back, they preach compassion, but they have none themselves. Next on Extra.
The Morning Xtra from 6 to 10. Glenn Beck until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And the Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
77 years. Now 78 years. They've been really, really helping Atlantans for a really, really long time. And the trust level with Central Heating and Air Conditioning is through the roof. And I can tell you because I use their services and have for, almost a decade now. Those guys have been so good. Chuck and his team, they just do things differently. When you speak to them, you get the right answer. You feel like they're working with you, not working against you. It's not one of those feelings when... Have you ever dealt with a company and you felt like they're trying to sell you something? I left a dentist recently because of that. Every time I went in there was a new upsell. I was just like, oh, I'm done with this. Never experienced that with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. 78 years. Since 1947, they've been servicing Atlanta with maintenance agreements, with Carrier products. Turn to your Atlanta Carrier experts when you need a Carrier system. Now, they work on everything, but Carrier is what they focus on. So if you do need a new system, they will get you a great Carrier system and give you a great price for it. It's easy to work with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. I've done it for a long time. I encourage you to do it too. Call them at 770-GET-HEAT or go to centralheat.com.
Hey, this is John Flading. I'm the president and owner of ATL Turf Co. We are a family-owned, operated, independent local company. We have over 15 years of artificial grass design, installation, and sales experience. From premium artificial lawns and backyards, custom putting greens, sports fields, hardscape, drainage. We do both residential and commercial. If you can dream it, we can build it. Just go to atlturfco.com to schedule an appointment.
You protect your physical health by choosing your doctors carefully. Protect your financial health by choosing an attorney carefully. An accident can be very costly. You want to receive the compensation you deserve. Call Van Sant Law. My friend David Van Sant will take care of you, trust me, very well. The number is 855-GA-INJURY. The website is vansantlaw.com. In the event of an accident, it could be the most important phone call you make.
Hey there, I'm Tara, owner and publisher of Our Town Monthly, Cobb's premier lifestyle magazine for over 20 years. We bring the best of our community directly to your mailbox, like the one-stop, open-air shopping destination, the Avenue West Cobb.
I'm Danny, marketing manager at the Avenue West Cobb. We provide the community a safe, walkable area with a unique mix of national retailers, local boutiques, and delicious dining options. And in addition to the incredible shopping, it's a community hub with events all year long. Mark your calendar for our most beloved events: trick-or-treating with our tenants, Santa's workshop, and our annual Christmas concert completed by our magical Christmas tree lighting. Follow us on social media at the Av West Cobb for family-friendly events all year long.
Thanks, Danny. My family and I love the Avenues. And friends, you will too. And remember, Our Town is your town at Our Town Monthly.
Hey, it's Los. We're here with Tom Mitchell, the honest car guy. Tom, I've learned a lot about this car buying process from you. Is that typical of most of the clients you've worked with?
Yeah, I'm finding out it's even more typical. I mean, people are learning more and more, and maybe it's because I overload them with information because I want to be able to sleep at night. I want to make sure you know everything.
Do I have to have a particular make and model in mind when I call you, or is it just open to anything I want?
It's open. I can get any make, any year, any model.
I might be looking to trade in my vehicle. Can you accommodate that as the honest car guy?
For sure. I mean, we love it when people want to trade in cars because honestly, it's best for you to trade in a car. Why? Because you get a tax savings.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the honest car guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
Fox Facts.
Gerrymandering is back in the headlines as some states look to draw new political maps ahead of the next election. The practice of manipulating electoral district boundaries is designed to give one party, group, or socioeconomic class an edge, either by cramming opposing voters into a few districts or spreading them thin to weaken their influence. The term dates back to 1812 when Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry approved a map favoring his party. One oddly shaped district reminded a political cartoonist of a salamander. His cartoon in the Boston Gazette merged Gerry's name with the creatures, dubbing it a gerrymander. The term caught on fast, becoming shorthand for partisan map-making. Both parties have used it, and in 2019, the Supreme Court said federal courts can't rule on partisan gerrymandering, though racial gerrymandering can still be challenged. 2 centuries later, the salamander is still crawling through American politics. Matt Murphy, Fox News.
the stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Friday, August 15th. The Atlanta Track Club announced 100% of the registration proceeds from this year's Atlanta Finest 5K race will be donated to the family of DeKalb County Police Officer David Rose. He was the officer killed in the shooting at the CDC last Friday. Rose leaves behind a wife and 2 children, with a third expected later this year. The race will take place tomorrow at Pemberton Place. A new LendingTree study finds Georgia ranks second in the country for credit card identity theft, showing a 22% increase in just 1 year. LendingTree says Georgia's booming population and strong business growth make it an attractive target for criminals. Poison control centers nationwide are reporting a sharp increase in calls involving children who have accidentally consumed marijuana edibles, and Georgia is no exception. Dr. Gaylord Lopez, director of the Georgia Poison Center, says his team has already handled more edible-related calls this year than in all of last year, despite it only being August. Lopez urges adults who use edibles to store them securely. Today's weather partly cloudy and temperatures in the low 90s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
They called them the lovable left. That's what they've always been called, the loving left. And they always virtue signaled as you brought it up even earlier in the show. Everything is a virtue signal. Everything is look how much we care.
Look how much I care. Don't look into the results. Look at the compassion.
That's all that matters, right? How much I care. I care about you more than they do.
I meant to help you.
I tried. That was my intent. Now, I didn't. They did. But I tried. Or maybe I didn't even try. I just said I was going to.
I think in this scenario, when we have our... Am I able to call him the border czar? Like, Tom Homan is basically running
I think so
much of this show as far as making sure...
An actual person of accountability on the border, yes.
Hold on, I thought there was no such thing as the border czar.
Right. There's no such thing as czars in this country. Tom Homan, who's been handling from top down, here's what's going on at the border, here's getting these people out of the country. And so Tom Homan is one of those giant enemies of the left at this point. Even though he's worked for him in the past.
He even worked for Obama.
He's like, what do you mean to do? I serve this country. That's what he does. But now he's become, enemy number one for when it comes to the Democrats outside of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Like, Tom Homan sending all of our voters out of here. Tom Homan has a great point about this stuff. Every time you hear about, well, it's not compassionate to send these people out of the country. Look what you're doing. It's awful. This is how you fight back against that. And we've brought it up on this show before, that what you need to do is you need to point out, for anyone who says, like, I can't believe they're rounding up these people. I was like, well, you didn't care what happened to them after they crossed that border, did you? Here's how Tom Homan makes it a point for you to know what was going on.
Here's why they're angry. Because we pulled the curtain back on the last 4 years of lawlessness of the Biden administration. They stood silent while a record number of women and children were sex trafficked in this country. Yeah. They stood silent when 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl coming across that open border. They stood silent when over 4,000 illegal aliens died making that journey. They stood silent. We had the largest number of known suspected terrorists entering this country through the open southwest border. They stood silent while record number of Americans died, a record number of aliens died, and they pulled the curtain back on the most secure border that we handed them. Yeah. We handed them the most secure border in our lifetime, and they destroyed it on purpose. They're angry because we're winning. We're showing the American people how much damage the last administration did to this country.
Don't tell me about what you meant to do when we have 300,000 children, and at this point we have about 25,000, 30,000 that we can account for. There's as many as 250,000 children that have been sold into slavery and into sex slavery in this country. We don't know where they are. Dude, and this is what's going on.
Last month there was a story out of Alabama where it was these two randos that were keeping people, including children, chained in like a tornado.
It's like a shelter.
Shelter, thank you. That's
tornado shelter.
It's the grossest thing when you hear, and the people that found them said it was the most disturbing thing that they'd ever run across in their entire life. And I couldn't even read the things that were going on because it was happening to infants. You're telling me that's the compassion you're talking about?
Well, you don't understand. We meant for them to come here.
But where did you meant for them to end up? There?
But they're here. That again, the results. Never judge them on the results. Yeah. Judge them on the intentions. We are, and I've brought this up. Let's face it. Let's see what it is. We are the biggest consumers of child sex pornography in the world. Is the United States of America. We have sick people here. We have 250,000 children that cross that border, and we have no idea where they are. This is not going on in a third world country. This is not going on in some movie where you go, oh, they went to Nicaragua to save these kids. This is going on here, and the Biden administration allowed it to happen.
And now the Democrats,
the party of the pedos,
they physically are coming after the people trying to fix the problem. That's why they hate Tom Homan. That's why they despise Donald Trump.
Tom Homan grabs the mirror and's like, here, y'all did this. And explain yourself.
And they don't want to see it. They would rather not see it. They're just fine with just letting it be. Just let the dog lie.
You had
stir up the fleas.
You had a person in the White House. Now, he wasn't in charge, right? We've all acknowledged this, right? He wasn't in charge. Joe Biden's the best president ever. Okay, whatever. His son had his phone as Pedo Pete. His son refers to him as a pedo. All right? You think that was a joke? Like, do you have something in your phone where you refer to your father or a close family member as a pedophile?
I don't. I must admit I don't.
I mean, I get it. Like, I've got a friend of mine. He's Fat Casey.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
But there's a big difference in Fat Casey.
He's not child molester Casey.
Exactly.
What was your college roommate buddy, DUI Tim or something like that?
Oh, no. DUI. It was Ty Lowe. He was DUI. He was
DU-Ty?
We would call him all of them.
That's good.
I mean, it was every name in the book of. Yes, but that is a moniker that he does. He's 25 years removed from it. He doesn't go by that anymore. But DW Ty was a big deal to us.
I mean, when I'm looking in my favorites, I got some nicknames in there, like my buddy Reed is Skeeter.
Okay, not pedo. No. Okay.
No one has that.
No one has that unless
there's something tied to it. Like what? How gross? Like, how gross of a nickname that you couldn't choose a worse? I understand nicknames are supposed to be a little bit of a poke, but there's nothing grosser than that.
I mean, we have a diary that the FBI went and took back from Project Veritas, where his daughter talked about showering at ages that should not have been happening.
Yuck.
Don't tell me that this wasn't all part of what the Democrats are actually into. Don't tell me that there's not a powerful faction of people that want access to kids. We know this to be true.
Yes, we do.
So when Tom Homan throws it in your face, he's throwing it in your face because he's like, y'all wanted this to happen.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it where Tim Tebow had, he was going through the heat map. They basically had a heat map of where people were accessing that type of filthy content across the United States. And I want to say, he said like 230,000 new unique IPs a day.
Ugh.
Trying to access that type of, and that's what, Tebow his whole foundation is about liberating people from trafficking.
Yeah.
Sex trafficking, slave trafficking, all of it. But I think the focus is sex trafficking. And the number is extraordinarily high of people that he's trying to help. That he's trying. Let me tell you, I wasn't a fan of Tim Tebow when he was in college. I appreciated him. I've become a fan of the man he is, the person he is, and using his platform for an estimated, listen to this, an estimated 50 million people are trapped in human trafficking across the world today. That's not compassion.
No.
And when 20 million of them show up in the United States, that's not compassion, but they will browbeat you to death telling you that it is.
Well, this is the benefit of the big beautiful bill. It's that you're going to have a lot more enforcement and a lot more money for enforcement with this stuff. And as it looks in this country, we have a lot of people that are volunteering to do this work.
Dude, freaking 100,000 applicants for ICE.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you know how the Democrats, they love to tell you about their service. This person's been a public servant, whomever they're talking about.
He's spent 40 years as a public servant.
They carry it like it is a golden trophy, public servant. But when someone decides, I want to serve in a role that I believe to be noble in ICE by getting people out that are causing problems, mainly with incredibly serious crimes on their rap sheet, those people they are looked down on. They are called every name in the book, and they're attacked. And yet, that's not stopping people from becoming public servants.
It's fine. The Democrats spent the better part of 2020 basically downgrading police.
Yeah.
Making up stories about police, going after police. Now, what do they do now? It's not popular to do it anymore, so now they're hands off. We don't say anything about police. The truth is, all law enforcement is despised by the Democrat Party.
Of course they are.
You can talk to me all about how, like, oh, this is how they view service to the country in the military. Yeah, you traditionally have been somebody who craps on military members.
Yeah,
that's part of your history.
Yeah.
So now the newest one is I'm going to crap on people that are serving through ICE. Make them the enemy. It's like, did you run out of police? Like, what happened there? I thought the police were the bad guys.
Well, because that fell out of favor.
Yes, it did.
So let's pick a new group to demonize and a new group to say that are demonic and that are just the worst.
Well, why don't you show your face? Because you're crazy.
Because you'll dox those people, and you know why you want them to. You want them to be intimidated. You want them to be scared to do their job. And yet, freaking 100,000 people are raising their hand, saying, I'll do it.
We're talking about a facility in North Texas where you had, 13 shots fired at it? You had a group of people that got together, and notice how that story has gone away. You had people that attacked an ICE detention center and put a bunch of bullets into it and hit a police officer, and they felt justified in doing it. And you want to ask why they put on a mask?
But then the bigger question is, who are these brave 100,000 people? Because we need more Americans like them that are willing to say, yeah, I'll do it. I'm going to do the difficult work. Knowing you're walking in, knowing that a portion of the country, let's say it's 25 or 30%, that hates your guts just because you raised your hand.
Yeah.
They despise you.
You chose to serve your country in this capacity and remove people that are here illegally. That started by violating the law.
You're awful. You're the worst. That takes it. That takes a level of courage that I don't know that many people have. 100,000 in a group of 320 million is still a relatively small, but that's a gigantic number at the same time.
But it's also shocking to that side when you hear, well, here they'll forgive your student loans. Like, what do you mean you'll forgive their student loans? It's like, do you know how many agencies are out there that's one of their enticements?
Absolutely.
Or you have the military who has signing bonuses.
That's right. And routes to get your education while you're serving and deployed.
If you will re-up for 4 years, 6 years, here's your signing bonus.
That's right.
This is regular. This is part of what government work is. And to see the left lose their mind over, nobody's paying my college bills, well, go serve your country.
Because you're not doing anything
to deserve it. With it.
Yeah, you're not earning it.
You're sitting over there waiting to teach Sanskrit.
That's right.
Okay? Or this person's going to go get these fools out of this community, and they shouldn't be here.
They're going to do the most difficult work that no one wants to do, and you want to have the audacity to say horrible things about them. I give them the hand salute, man. I thank them. I'm proud of them, and I'm surprised. To be completely honest, I'm surprised, knowing the environment that they're walking into, and they're still willing to do it. It's like joining the military in the middle of a war. That's what it looks like to me.
I'm going to have to look at all these
the incentives,
the background investigations to go along with it, just to see when you're going to run into problems here.
All right, we'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah, well, I was going to say, you're going to have to be looked into some of your trial history.
Tug and Los until 10. On Xtra 106.3. When we come back, yes, crime is a problem, but Trump fixing it, well, that's racist. Can't allow that to happen. If you want to be involved in the show, give us a shout. You'll have to call us at 470-552-0020. But easier, you can find us on social media at Xtra 106.3. At Front Office Los, at Whiskey Click. You can find me at Tug Cowart. This is Xtra.
The Morning Xtra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3 FM.
Good morning, it's Los. Let's talk about True Prep and what they got going on. First off, truprep.com. That's truprep.com. Or you can go by the store as well. 1000 Cobb Parkway in Marietta. Now, here's the cool part of what's going on right now. Used guns and gear sale. 20% off used guns and gear. This is going to run through the end of this month, so you got to get on it August 31st. If you want to take a look at some of the inventory, go to trueprep.com. Right there on that right side, used guns and gear. It updates every single day. You can take a look, as well as their sales and clearance items. Here's the cool part. Depending on what you're interested in, they got something for you. Maybe you're looking into your first firearm. Maybe you're looking to add another firearm. They can take care of you there. If you are looking for perhaps your first firearm, or maybe your wife or a girlfriend or a daughter, this is a great program because what they have are workshops. The next one's coming up on August 24th. So they help you find the right firearm. Then they train you on how to handle that firearm, how to properly store that firearm, how to have the responsibility of that firearm. That's the cool part about True Prep. If you're an outdoor enthusiast, they got all the equipment that you're looking for, water filtration, everything else under the sun. And if you're like me, I'm into prep when it comes to food preparation. They got workshops on that, and they have equipment to help you out with that process as well. Go to truprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow with True Prep.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, August 15th. The Atlanta Braves end up taking 2 of 3 from the struggling New York Mets in New York, concluding the series last night with a 4-3 win. Second baseman Ozzie Albies with the 3 RBI night. The team now moves on to Cleveland to play the Indy Guardians for a 3-game weekend series. It'll be Hurston Waldrop on the mound against Joey Cantillo. First pitch is set for 7:10. You can hear that game live on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. From the NFL, the Falcons play preseason game number 2 tonight at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as they host the Tennessee Titans and number 1 overall draft pick quarterback Cam Ward. That kickoff is set for 7 o'clock. With your sports updates, I'm Carlos Medina.
Of all the radio ads I've ever done, I only advertised one thing that I think saved my life. My CPAP machine, sleep apnea. And I found the best CPAP dealer out there ever, Roddy at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. CPAPsETC.com. Everything you need, all the supplies, shipped anywhere at a price that often beats insurance. CPAPsETC.com. Go take a peek now.
Modular and off-site construction is booming. If you're an architect, building engineer, supplier, developer, or contractor, you can't miss the Off-Site Construction Summit, returning to the International Convention Center in Atlanta on August 19th. With the rising cost of traditional building, modular and off-site construction is changing the way that companies build. It's quicker, cheaper, and offers a faster ROI. So don't miss the Off-Site Construction Summit, coming to the International Convention Center in Atlanta on August 19th. This is your opportunity to learn from and connect with the industry's best. Register today at offsiteconstructionnetwork.com. That's offsiteconstructionnetwork.com.
You're great at protecting your own personal information. You probably even use things like two-factor authentication, strong passwords, VPN. But as much as you try to be in control of how your information is protected, there's lots of places that also have it. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every single second for identity threats. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock specialist is going to help solve the identity theft issues, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% off your first year with a promo code Beck at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Fox on Tech. Apple wants to do more with AI. The launch of Apple Intelligence along with their iPhone 16 was not considered by many to live up to Apple's hype or even its usual standards. Even the most devoted Apple fans were curious as to what Apple Intelligence, the company's foray into AI, really did. And what it did wasn't much, especially when compared to things like ChatGPT and Grok, among others. But now Bloomberg reports a possible chance for Apple to make an AI comeback. Word is the company is developing robots that could house an AI version of its Siri personal assistant, as well as a home security system complete with cameras and a new smart speaker with its own built-in display. No word yet on when such products will be confirmed or debuted by Apple, and even if they'd be ready to show next month at their September event when they traditionally unveil their latest gadgets. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
Promises made, promises kept. The president is making the economy great again. He's securing the border for America's safety, and the mainstream media still wants to tear him down.
The media wants Donald Trump to fail. That's their goal. That's how they'll report his progress.
But we know the truth, and we give you the perspective that other stations won't. Atlanta's only conservative voice is Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. At Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms if you would like to jump into the conversation. Yes, crime is a problem. Yes, we know that. Trump's a racist. So a racist can't fix the problem.
No way.
He just can't be. Joe Scarborough.
He's a dictator.
No kidding. He's awful, man. He's Orange Man bad. Don't you know? Have you not been paying attention?
No kings. No kings.
Right. That's exactly right.
Let me get this straight. So the dictator, the no kings, all that sort of stuff that they've tried to push. So he's actually decided that when it comes to American City, that safety for its citizens should be paramount.
Hard to argue that.
Weird.
I asked 10 people, do you think living in a safe city is important? 10 of them will say yes. Joe Scarborough on MSNBC on Morning Joe, sensing that Trump is winning when it comes to crime because it's so obvious. Why would you take the side of the criminals? But that's what the Democrats do, typically. I mean, his own industry's been victimized by it. He knows.
This is brilliant. Because this is the only, again, it's not a city. This is the only American community where he can do this.
That's right.
It's the only one where he has the purview, the legal authority to roll in with troops and say, we're going to watch the city, we're going to take care of the city, we're going to put so much police and so much law enforcement and so much protection in this city that you're suddenly going to feel like it's a totally safer city.
Pete Hegseth posted a picture last night walking through D.C., going to dinner with his family, and he's got several children. And you see the presence, and he basically stopped and posed and took a picture with these guys saying thank you to them. But Al Sharpton, he sees it different. Al says, yeah, crime's a problem. Yes, it's a problem. But Trump is a racist.
Black women especially are deeply concerned about crime in their city. And I think it would behoove the Democratic Party to figure out how to build a partnership with the president, with the mayor, to make Washington a more secure city for the 91% of Washington residents who are saying today that crime is a serious problem.
Well, it goes to the situation and problem that I've said to you, and you and I have discussed before, that people are talking for people they're not talking to. There is a concern among many blacks, if not most, and many residents in Washington, D.C. about crime. We have an office of National Action Network there, so I'm familiar with it. I go in and out. I talk to the people that work for NAN there, led by a woman, a black woman. But the question becomes how Trump is handling it. I think the problem is not that there's an argument about we need to deal with crime. Even though the data says it's going down, the perception and the reality is there. The question is, Donald Trump, the only convicted felon to ever sit in the White House, by the way, pardoned criminals who assaulted police, who threatened the life of the vice president, and did not reach out and try to meet with the mayor and local law enforcement and say, how do we work together to end crime? He just came in, said, I'm taking over, and then announced I'm going to other cities, all of whom have black mayors, Los Angeles, Oakland, Chicago, New York. I'm going after all these cities, not one Republican city, not one white mayor.
So you get what he's saying.
Wow.
Donald Trump is racist because he's solving the crime problem. And it was funny. I don't know if you picked up on it when he said, well, yeah, there's a crime issue, but nobody's arguing that. The pattern, back to the pattern.
Back to the pattern.
Of course there's a crime problem, but he's a racist, so he can't solve it.
So first, if you missed earlier this week, we talked about the pattern. And the pattern plays itself out in the media every single day. The first part is Trump is wrong, Trump's a racist, Trump this and this. The second part is then, well, you kind of acknowledge that he's right, but you don't really want to say it, but you acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Third then becomes, well, it was obvious.
Everybody knows.
Of course that, yeah.
He's like, and Al Sharpton said, I'm in the neighborhoods. I know. My Action Network is run by a black woman. She's already told me that.
So Al Sharpton actually starts coming across as the liberal white establishment. And you're saying, what are you talking about? Because when you look at the polling, the local polling going on in D.C. within their newspapers, you will have an overwhelming amount of the residents across the board that say crime is a problem. Then when it starts talking about how much of a problem is, that shows up traditionally in the black community, those polled. The only people that are saying it's not a problem is a certain socioeconomic status of white people in D.C. who are removed from it.
Lib white people.
And that is what Al Sharpton essentially is parroting.
That's exactly right, dude.
What do you mean? Look at the crime statistics going down. The only people telling you that the crime statistics are going down in D.C. are the socioeconomic white liberal who is not exposed to it because of where they live. This would be like the Georgetown white liberal. This is the one who's like, what do you mean?
I got no problems.
I got no problems here. No, it's safe.
Then Al Sharpton. Did you hear him allude to January 6th without saying it? Well, he let the vice president be in danger. This man. He went after the police. Of course, that's January 6th. Got to work that in.
Always got to work in January 6th. Although, if it was so damning, and this is what they never, ever, ever understand, if it was so damning, he's not president.
I know, right?
If all these arguments that come up, if they were so damning, 7 swing states and the popular vote. If it was so damning, 34 convictions, if a majority of Americans thought that this was legitimate, then he's not president. And they saw right through it.
But they don't, and he is.
Yes.
There was one
it's really simple connecting the dots there.
Dude, it's not hard. It's not hard. It just
if
listen.
Your point was valid, he's not president.
It dies. He dies on the vine. He doesn't continue to blossom.
It's as if I was to say, Al Sharpton, why don't you have a show? because you don't garner ratings.
Well,
so they use you as the pawn piece to come in and, okay, let's move him around the board. Let's have. If Al Sharpton had a show, he wouldn't work there. If he was so good at his analysis, he'd have a show.
I think there's probably some shakedown in there too. I think he was like, if they didn't use him, if they didn't let him have the platform that we just played for you, the shakedown would be coming. MSNBC would be just as racist as Donald Trump.
It used to be.
It works.
It used to be Jesse Jackson. Now the remnants of Al Sharpton. When he talks about his Action Network.
Oh yeah.
So if you're not aware of how this has worked for years and years and years, it was a shakedown program. So if you were to say, let's just say your company X, all right? I'm not going to use a particular company. Let's just say company X. What would happen is these race baiters would come in and say, company X, we're concerned about your hiring practices, and I think we're going to expose this to the media. Unless you need a little bit of a donation of cheddar. And so at that point, it was a shakedown. And so it was always about what could you find that would be some sort of element of race that you could shake down companies for a donation to your network, a donation to the Rainbow Coalition or his Action Network. And that's how they would basically pay themselves and take care of all the top executives. It was a shakedown. It's all it ever's been.
That's why he's never had to have anything. He didn't have to have a show. They'll give him the platform all day long to not have to endure that. It's the way it's worked.
And part of the reason, we'll connect some more dots for you, part of the reason why they all hated Barack Obama off the top is because they were like, oh my God, he is now going to be able to take our gigs. In the same way, like the Lincoln Project and the establishment Republicans hate Donald Trump because they're like, you took the party away from us. Barack Obama was hated by these guys early on. You can go find the things they talked about back in the early 2000s when Barack Obama came on the scene. They're like, he's going to remove my ability to shake companies down. This is a problem for me.
And I would say that it must not have worked out the way that they were fearful of it working out, because you still got Al Sharpton up there sharing the most bogus nonsense, saying, yes, of course there's crime, but Trump's a racist. He's only going after cities that are black run. And I mean, I don't know how you argue that those cities that he's referencing aren't a problem. Los Angeles, problem. Detroit, problem. Cleveland, problem. Louisville, problem. All these cities have the same issues. It doesn't matter who runs them. Look at the ones that have the issues. That's where we're talking.
Just a little reminder, Al Sharpton, back in the day, we're talking about 18 years ago, what was his primary criticism that he went at Barack Obama? Because again, you're going to take my gig here. You're going to be the guy who's now...
I'm smart enough to see that.
He questioned if he was authentically black.
Okay. All right.
If he was authentically black enough. Think about just that term of telling somebody, are you authentically black enough?
Guess when it populated again? Remember when it bubbled up 6 months ago? 8 months ago? Same thing bubbled up. Said the same thing about Kamala. Morning Extra at Extra 106.3. When we come back, the honesty and transparency of the Trump administration jumps off the page, especially yesterday. Next at Extra.
When conflicts escalate around the world, don't let the mainstream media scare you into believing their narrative. Get it right with Atlanta's only conservative voice. And trust the Morning Extra, Glenn Beck, Clay and Buck, The Kimmer Show, and our entire lineup to give it to you straight. Don't buy the fear. Just keep it here. Extra 106.3 FM and the all-new Extra app.
Good morning, Mike. What you eating?
You gotta try this.
I can hear you crunching from the next cube over.
This is amazing. I just discovered it this weekend at Lidl. It's Greek Goddess Gourmet Granola. They were sampling it, so I tried it. Then I bought 6 bags.
Wow. Is it cereal?
Can be. Or an amazing trail mix. It's great for a meal or a snack.
What's in it?
Well, they have 2 flavors, maple oat and harvest nut, which is my favorite. It's made with whole grain oats, almonds, pecans, raisins, coconut, and the sweet taste of pure maple syrup. Maple oat is a simpler take on their delicious granola. It's got wholesome oats, plump raisins, coconut, and maple syrup.
That sounds healthy and delicious.
That's why I can't stop crunching, Susan.
Greek Goddess Gourmet Granola. It's a breakfast or on-the-go snack you can feel good about. It's dairy-free and gluten-free, and with only 2 grams of added sugar per serving, even your belly will love it. Pick some up at Lidl, Amazon, GreekGoddessGourmet.com, or at specialty stores near you.
Principal Technology Services, PSO, supply chain intelligence positions offered by Manhattan Associates, Inc. in Atlanta, Georgia. Manage technical projects for software systems and oversee the identification and resolution of technical problems in all aspects from inception to installation. Up to 50% domestic travel required. Employee reports to office in Atlanta, Georgia. Position may work from home in accordance with company policy, but must live within commuting distance of stated office. If interested, please apply online at www.manh.com/about-us/careers.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A backpacker found alive in a miracle rescue after 12 days missing in the Australian outback makes today's Dean's List. 26-year-old Carolina Wilga's story of survival is incredible after being found 19 miles after a crash in her van in a remote and rugged region. She left the accident after having hit her head and became disoriented without food, water, or warm clothing. Carolina survived 11 nights with freezing temperatures and injuries. She collected water from puddles and spent nights under makeshift shelter. Police say it was a miracle she survived considering the harsh landscape and dangerous conditions in the outback. A farmer, Tanya Fenley, found her by chance on the side of the road waving her hands. Carolina calls Tanya her rescuer and her angel. She is beyond grateful to have survived this journey mentally and physically. Janice Dean, Fox News.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
The president is getting ready to go.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. To Alaska this hour, taking his push to stop the war in Ukraine directly to Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
I don't know that we're going to get an immediate ceasefire, but I think it's going to come. See, I'm more interested in immediate peace deal, getting peace fast.
President Trump told Fox's Brian Kilmeade radio show there is a 25% chance the talks fail, but if they succeed, he wants a second meeting with Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky and Putin to let them make a deal.
Today we may see something that hasn't happened since the last time Donald Trump was president before the Ukraine war. President Trump and President Putin standing side by side answering reporter questions.
Fox's Peter Ducey already in Anchorage.
There's been talk about land swaps, what Ukraine gets, what Russia gets, but this entire deal may ultimately hinge on rare earth minerals that exist beneath the ground here in Alaska. President Trump is expected to offer some kind of access in exchange for a ceasefire.
In the president's Washington, D.C. crime crackdown, he and Attorney General Pam Bondi keep pushing back on the police statistics showing a drop in violent crime the last 2 years. She tells Fox's Hannity.
An extremely divisive city council. You have liberal judges. You have no cash bail, as you said. You have juveniles running rampant over this city. And you have a Metro Police Department. They want to do their jobs.
Bondi's named the DEA Administrator Terry Cole as D.C.'s acting police commissioner, but Washington's Attorney General calls that unlawful. Democratic Texas lawmakers who left the state to block a congressional redistricting may return as the legislative session ends. They were praised by former President Obama.
Calling the Texas Democratic lawmakers' actions, quote, inspiring after meeting with them via Zoom. Obama posting this quote, "I am so proud of the Texas House Democrats."
Fox's Chanley Painter. That redistricting could benefit Republicans in the next year's elections. America's listening to Fox News.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything, but while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Align your business with other like-minded conservatives by advertising on Xtra 1063. Email sales at xtra1063.com.
We talked about patterns earlier this week. We talked about a pattern yesterday, the audio that we just played for you this morning, but it happened yesterday on MSNBC. And I'm sensing a pattern with Unskinny Bop. Is it 7 o'clock every Friday? Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me.
I always look forward to 7 o'clock on Friday.
It only took me, I don't know, how long you been doing this? A year?
No, he gives us George Jones, too.
Yeah, well, I know, but 7 o'clock is always Unskinny Bop, and I just realized that it's 7 o'clock every Friday.
I'll juggle it around a little bit if I want to keep you guys on your toes.
Okay, all right.
This is a traditional Friday. This is a Law and Order Friday.
Got it. I know that I get Unskinny Bop at 7 or 8 o'clock every Friday.
It's a good day, man. Turn it up. Go ahead. That doesn't make it feel good. I don't know what. I just don't know what would be better than that. I mean, I can imagine 5 o'clock cracking up a cold beer, Unskinny Bop playing. Let's go, we made it.
I still love, I don't know if he still does it anymore, but they used to have the work whistle and the song that would play with that.
Originally on 96 Rock, now The River does it, I think, at 5.
So our friend down the hall, Nick Cellini, who hosts with Chris Domino, the baseball Jesus, who comes in when the Braves are in the playoffs. Won't be this year. So we'll see Chris next year.
Sadly.
They're going to. We're going to playoff season next year.
Let's go.
Win the World Series.
Love that.
So Nick Cellini would reenact what an 80s DJ would sound like.
That's right.
And no matter what, he would always work in cocaine right before the song would hit.
Have you ever heard, do you know who Coyote McLeod is?
No.
I'm going to play you a break. He had the Friday whistle. This was back in the 70s. you've heard this before.
Yes, I
haven't you,
have.
Doug?
Yep.
It's China Grove. It's incredible.
It's genius. It's what everything Nick bases off of. This
Okay.
guy, he was kind of the originator of it. This
All right.
guy,
I'll get it up
dude,
here
is
in a
genius. And as soon as you hear it, you'll be like, oh.
Because Nick would just keep working in the word cocaine.
That's right. Yeah.
And he'd have to do that before the post.
Dude, it's so funny.
It's hilarious.
And they choose different songs for him too, right? Don't they?
No, it's always the same
Is it
song.
always working for
It's
the
always
weekend?
working for the weekend.
Yeah, all right. I've heard it a bunch of times, and he's so funny.
He's so funny with it. He's like, you get on that bear and you wrestle that bear, and that bear is named Cocaine.
That's right. It's so good.
And so yeah, he'd always used to do that like every Friday, right? The last hour of the show.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
All right, can I give you this?
Have you got it?
Yes, if you got it.
Yeah.
All right, so this is 1976.
Let's go.
On WQXI.
It's a good time show. I hope so. Vicky Bierman of Atlanta wins $500. And the summer-long prize patrol rolls again at any moment from 79. WQXI.
Mama, walk up your sheep. The count is on the whole tonight.
Oh.
Here we go.
Listen to this, dude.
7 o'clock in the Atlanta night time. The county was have good time for rock and roll radio. Show is on the air. Got me some good-looking home cooking, black cooking, fast pacing, drag racing, kissing, facing the outraging, good time and bridge running, stump jumping, egg sucking, nitty gritty, low rent, rock and roll.
Dude, it is genius. It's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
That's pretty impressive.
Dude, but that's
And
what.
that's back when they were doing, carts with tape.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just incredible.
And no, just the work to be able to
dude.
get that in with the
Yeah.
old technology.
Yeah.
Like you can do that today a little bit easier, but that's
a lot easier.
At least an
Energy.
8-ball right before he finished.
Yeah,
Finished
there's
that.
a lot of drug use during that history when I would hear about 70s and 80s radio.
Dude, QXI, Quixie.
Quixie and Dixie.
Yeah, that's right. Then that became.
I worked there for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
I got my time in at Quixie and Dixie.
And then,
and by the way, that was also the station that WKRP in Cincinnati was based off of.
That's exactly right, man. God, what a legendary radio station.
God is my witness. How turkeys could fly.
That's right. Nothing greater, man. So good.
Okay, pretty impressive.
Hey, dude, it's that. But that's exactly what Nick is
basing it all off of.
Yeah, that's where it all started.
Let's see if I can find that.
Dude, it's so. I hope you
Maybe
do.
the 9 o'clock hour when we need a laugh.
Yeah, that's right.
The work whistle with Cellini.
That's right. So good, man. I wanted to point out something I noticed yesterday. I was watching Donald Trump's press conference, and I just feel like he's incredibly transparent. And the obvious is that he's just taking unpreviewed questions, man. It's just rapid fire questions from reporters.
Yeah, I'll jump from one foot to the next, whatever. Just ask whatever you want.
Joe Biden, man, the poor man.
No chance. No chance. It was all on note cards for a reason. We actually, for 4 years, Tug, we had someone pretending to be president.
It's unbelievable.
And they had to actually have questions that were pre-written so he could call on somebody, and the questions were already in hand.
And then the teleprompter stuff that he would read, in quote here, pick that person. Like, then he would read those out loud. You know, it was unbelievable that
end
would
of
even
quote.
happen. End of quote, exactly. It's really unbelievable.
Repeat the line.
For 4 years, we were told we had a president. We didn't have a president.
Nope.
We had a group of people making decisions, and we had a man that was this puppet that was supposed to be the guy in charge but wasn't. Yesterday, I watched Donald Trump taking those just rapid-fire questions, which he's done so many times. And this version of Trump, post-Butler, is so measured and incredibly honest. Yesterday, he was asked what he expected out of the Russia-Ukraine war and the meeting with Putin. And he got off on a little bit of a tangent, and he said, to be honest, I thought it was going to be easier than it has been to end this war. How transparent is that? Because remember, he went in and said, I'll end it in 24 hours. And then, just being honest, we all know it didn't end in 24 hours. But presidents never say I was wrong. Presidents never say I'm sorry. But he did. He was vulnerable in that moment. He said, I thought it was going to be much easier, but it's not been.
I firmly believe one of the big aspects of why he won the election and why Kamala Harris lost the election was the same question. The exact same question. Kamala Harris on The View was asked, what would you change? Remember, Sonny Hostins asked, what would you change based off of you being the vice president of the administration? Softball. And what did she say?
Nothing.
Kind of stuttered around. Wasn't
All
really
good.
sure. No, all good. And obviously, when it came to how the people of this country saw the direction of the country going, they were not in favor of this. Donald Trump was asked the same question by Joe Rogan. Then what did he say? Again, with 100 million listeners. He said, my hiring practices. He's like, this is what he goes. He's like, I wasn't a politician. I went into D.C. and they gave me a list of people. And I picked and he goes, and these were not the people I probably should have. He admitted that the very structure by which he built his first administration was bad, was wrong, was something to do over. And so what is he now surrounded himself with? A bunch of freaking studs.
And it's that type of person, though, that has the ability to grow.
It's endearing.
It absolutely is. 100%. That is exactly right. People seeing you go, I didn't get it exactly right there. It not only is it endearing, it teaches you as a person, too. You grow from it. You become better from it. And if you'll give me the opportunity, there was one more thing that he said yesterday that I was like, Trump 1.0 would have never said this. He was asked if the meeting with Putin could fail. Donald Trump 1.0 would have been like, hell no, it can't fail because I'm the best. I'm going to get it done. And this 2.0, post-Butler, he said, yeah, it could fail. He said there's a 25% chance that this thing fails altogether. And he was asked, what would that look like? What would a failure look like? And he said, if I don't get the deal done. Dude, this is a different man. Trump 1.0 never has that conversation because he would have turned that into an attack on the reporter. He would have. That's what he would have done. Trump 2.0, endearing and reflective. And I think that has led him to be incredibly honest and incredibly transparent. And what does that build? Trust.
So my Maha was stolen from me.
It was.
All right. I said, make America honest again. That's what I said on Inauguration Day. Now, I will lend it over to RFK Jr. You can have Maha for Make America Healthy Again.
You can commandeer it, damn it.
I'm going to be like MASHA. Make America super honest again. Like, I appreciate that Donald Trump is laying the groundwork for this is complicated.
Yeah.
This is very complicated because you have two men that are largely, and I don't think we can downplay this portion of it. We cannot downplay this portion of it. You have had the Ukrainians actually send drones to try and kill Putin, just as Putin has done the same thing to Zelensky. This is not just, hey, this is a war between our countries and we'll figure it out. And this is both ends have tried to kill the other head of state.
That's big, man. That's big.
I mean, think about the difference in that. You tried to kill me.
We went to war in Iraq because of it. Remember, Dave Chappelle did a full skit. They tried to kill my father. Remember that? Dude, that is the type of hatred that these two people have for each other. That's why I think Donald Trump's honesty and transparency is so building a trust with the American people. There's a reason D.C. feels comfortable with the decision he's made. Because they know the trouble's there. That's obvious. And they know that Donald Trump's like, we're done, man. We need to clean this up. And everybody agrees with it. He's earned equity.
Something I had not thought about when it comes to this negotiation. And people say, why Alaska? Well, I mean, Alaska's close to Russia, right? That makes a whole lot of sense. Fox News has been putting this out there, and I think it's a legitimate discussion. Why are you in Ukraine? Well, you want the port. All right. Why else are you in Ukraine? Because of what they have underneath the feet there. That is their wealth.
Because there is just a unbelievable amount of rare earth minerals that can be mined in Ukraine.
What if the deal is Russia has access to our own here?
That's right. Dude,
could you imagine that deal?
But don't you expect that that's what's coming? I expect that's it. You're going to say, Russia, you can have rare earth minerals, you're going to have the ability to mine, and your companies, and y'all will split it somehow or another. Look,
we will allow Russian companies to operate in this area if you get out of that one.
And we give you this land back. You keep hearing land swap. So Ukraine gets some of the
some of their own area back
that Russia has taken,
and we give the Russian access to our area in Alaska. If that's not the ultimate in diplomacy, if that really goes down that way, because remember, we started this discussion in the 6 o'clock hour, and my challenge was, why would you give back what's valuable that you already have? And I never considered at the time, maybe you're willing to give something of your own to get this brokered.
That's right.
That's another world. This is going to be wild to watch today.
And both countries benefit from that, right?
Yes, they get out of your area.
Well, but even more than that, with the rare earths, because they'll split that, right? Or there has to be some sort of negotiation like that. So both countries benefit from the rare earths that everybody, including the U.S., needs.
If it's about the access, because that's the true wealth of Ukraine, that area. It's Russian speaking, and it's rare earth material. Outside of your warm water port, which I don't think they're going to give up, that's probably not going to be part of that negotiation. They'll have to figure out some way to be able to both use it. But if it's about that rare earth materials, and the United States is willing to give the Russians access to our own in the interest of leave Ukraine, let the Ukrainians have theirs back, let's get a deal done with everybody, that's wild amount of big diplomacy.
We have shot so many of our missiles during the defense of Israel and the attack on the nuclear power plants in Iran. Military Times I was reading, it's probably a few weeks ago, hadn't thought about it since. They talked about the need for rebuilding and replenishing. Problem is, we don't have the rare earths to do it, to be able to replenish our own military. China owns 90% of the rare earth markets, 90. If you have a just blessing of wealth of rare earths in Ukraine, the U.S. benefits from it because we don't have to rely on China and their 90% stockpile of that and ownership of the market. Russia benefits from money. Ukraine benefits from money. We probably do too, and then we can replenish our missiles and our war material.
I know the Democrats don't want to hear this, but everyone benefits from economic union. If you're able to put together a deal where the Ukrainians, the Russians, and us are all the primary beneficiaries, you tend to not have either one of these groups attacking the other.
Right, because what would be the benefit?
Why would you cut off your nose to spite your face?
Democrats will do it. They'll do it.
We've already seen this mentality.
However, people who are level-headed.
How do you blow up your own party?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Good for you guys.
Yeah, nice work. But people who are, and I'm not saying Putin's rational because we know he can be off kilter. He just thinks differently than we do. There's not even a comparison in the way he thinks and then the way that we in the West think. But I think he's smart enough. If this turns out to be the deal, which there has to be an element of it, I would bet my paycheck, my mortgage, that there will be an element of that in this deal that is discussed.
I would point this out. The reason why this is going on is because Trump was putting tariff pressure on India to stop buying Russian oil. And that was the pain point. As much as we can say, well, Putin's a wild card. No, Putin is a nationalist. And he wants to make sure that his nation is strong. And the only strength his nation really currently has, as long as they're not holding on to Ukraine, as their oil production. So you start interfering with them being able to get that to market, that's why we're talking here.
And then there's this. I read it yesterday. FoxNews.com. Putin praises Trump's sincere peace effort, signals possible U.S.-Russia deal. Everything just seems to be lining up. Donald Trump, when he said, I'll know within 2 minutes, it's because they've probably already hammered out the basics of this.
Here's the structure of what we're looking to do.
Why would you meet, if you're Putin, why would you even entertain it if you didn't feel like there was something there?
So
you would waste your time.
In every negotiation I've been a part of, and again, you spend enough time in radio, you've been part of a lot of contract negotiations and negotiations between our company and other entities. It's why we have the brands that we have and the deals that we do within this company. Everything is always about the structure of the deal And then it gets down to the fine tuning to find out what's your pain point. What are you interested in? What's that last thing that's a part? Because you want to walk away from a deal where you go, all right, the structure I like, but they threw in that one extra thing here or there that I wanted to ask about, and that's what's important.
I didn't get everything, but I got that. They didn't get everything, but they got that.
Like I had
whatever that is.
I had an agent one time told me, and this is way back in the day of radio negotiations. He's like, my client liked most of the deal. He's like, he asked for one other thing. And I was like, what's that? He's like, he wanted an ATV. He wanted an all-terrain vehicle, a four-wheeler.
He got that. He asked for that in his negotiation for his job?
Yes.
That's a pretty ballsy move, man.
And the radio company said, okay, if that's that last little perk, like the structure, if that's the last little perk that gets this done, okay, we'll do it. Wow. He's like, he wanted an ATV. I got him an ATV. But that's what I'm saying now. On the big scheme of things, it might be that one little thing that Putin wants, and that's what you find out in order to get the deal done. It's probably not an ATV.
Might not be. I bet he already has a few. Something tells me.
I mean, if it was Tug,
dude,
and David Dickey said, listen, I will buy you a new Waylon Jennings shirt once every 3 months.
Sold.
Deal done. Where's my pen?
That's right. Absolutely. I'm in. And my wife would be like, thankfully, you don't have to buy them every $3 now.
You never know what that last little part of the deal is. The structure's probably good. It's what are they going to talk about in the last
Nail down the last part. Speaking of Waylon's shirts, just real quick. I was so insulted. My new Waylon shirt that I wore, I don't know, last week or the week before, because it was Bella, our old social media. She's moved on to even bigger and better things. I walk in with it, and she's like, is that a Whataburger t-shirt? I almost fell out. I was like, don't talk to me ever again. Take a picture of it, look it up, then we can talk. Insulting. Insulting is what that was. Whataburger. I mean, Whataburger's fine, but come on. When we continue, Gavin Newsom got really, really mad at Donald Trump yesterday. Next on Extra.
Get connected to Extra 106.3 on all your favorite apps. Then download ours and stream the station across Georgia. We're live online at extra1063.com. Stream live video from the studios on YouTube. And of course, Kimmer, Bortz, and your favorite Extra shows in crystal clear digital on the Extra 106.3 app.
Hey, it's Los. Let's talk about Howard Brothers and Exmark. You have been out there. The sun's blazing. The grass keeps growing. We keep getting this rain, too, which means my grass is going crazy. And Exmark, well, it's ready to handle any of these situations. August, lawns don't take a break. You know about that. This thing ain't going dormant for a couple of months. You got to get stuff continue to be taken care of. So get an Exmark zero-turn mower. You'll power through the heat and be back in the shade in no time. Exmark, built tough, engineered for precision. It delivers a faster, cleaner cut every single time so that you're the envy of your street, maybe even the entirety of the neighborhood. Don't just mow like a pro this cutting season with Exmark. Visit Howard Brothers today and don't wait. Their expert team is ready to help you find the perfect mower for your needs. The grass is always greener when you take care of it with Exmark and with Howard Brothers.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Got a to-do list a mile long? No problem. We've got the ultimate solution, our Handyman for a Day program. Here's how it works. You get a skilled handyman dedicated to knocking out your honey-do list. Paint touch-ups, drywall repairs, door adjustments, and much more, all done in one day. Call us now before the rush for your Handyman for a Day and call us at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. One call, one handyman, one day, the Trusted Toolbox.
Knowledge is power. Coach Pete's local trusted advisor, Craig Chandler of Chandler Wealth Management, knows that. And Coach Pete knows the importance of making sure you understand your retirement plan.
Education is the key to many things in life, including retirement. Retirement is a very, very important time, so we've set aside time on our calendar to meet with listeners. We discuss your immediate concerns, your needs for retirement, your wants, your desires. From there, we give you some clarity surrounding one of the most vital aspects of your financial life through a free strategic planning session or second planning review. And let's make sure you're still on that track you need to be on. This includes a fee analysis where we identify financial termites That's too much risk, fees, and commissions. And a personalized and comprehensive report of your current situation, as well as a long-term financial retirement and income plan to help you not only reach your goals, but surpass your goals and have fun all the way through retirement.
800-419-6164. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Hey, this is John Flading from ATL Turfco. We're a family-owned and operated independent local company here in the Atlanta area. We've been in business for over 15 years. We install several different types of artificial grass. One is landscape, which looks like real grass for your lawn. The next one is pet turf. Pet turf is a little bit shorter than landscape, and it's more durable. And the other one is putting greens. If you can dream it, we can build it. Just go to atlturfco.com to schedule an appointment.
Gentlemen, listen up. When it's not hard, it's really hard. Did you know that 50% of men over 50 have some form of ED? It's true, and I'm one of them. ED followed me everywhere. Heck, even my initials are ED. I'm Dr. Eric Deal from Total Body Therapy of Georgia, and I know ED. It can lead to feelings of embarrassment, stress, and sadness. But there's good news. I can fix it. I fixed mine, and I can fix yours too. At Total Body Therapy of Georgia, we are experts in the P-shot, testosterone replacement, regenerative therapy, trimix to create an erection, and more. Guys, ED won't get better on its own, but I can help you today. Call us at 404-777-1911. That's 404-777-1911, or learn about us more online at tbtofga.com. So take it from me, ED, Dr. Eric Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. Call 404-777-1911 or online at tbtofga.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Friday, August 15th. The Atlanta Track Club announced 100% of the registration proceeds from this year's Atlanta Finest 5K race will be donated to the family of DeKalb County Police Officer David Rose. He was the officer killed in the shooting at the CDC last Friday. Rose leaves behind a wife and 2 children, with a third expected later this year. The race will take place tomorrow at Pemberton Place. A new LendingTree study finds Georgia ranks second in the country for credit card identity theft, showing a 22% increase in just 1 year. LendingTree says Georgia's booming population and strong business growth make it an attractive target for criminals. Poison control centers nationwide are reporting a sharp increase in calls involving children who have accidentally consumed marijuana edibles, and Georgia is no exception. Dr. Gaylord Lopez, director of the Georgia Poison Center, says his team has already handled more edible-related calls this year than in all of last year, despite it only being August. Lopez urges adults who use edibles to store them securely. Today's weather partly cloudy and temperatures in the low 90s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
7 o'clock hour brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com.
You want me to say it to you? You want me to say it out loud?
Sure, if you'd like.
The reason why cheerleaders are out on the field foundationally is to get men aroused.
Yes. Wow, she is smoking.
That is what they're there at the professional level. Now, granted, when you go to like, oh, hey, here's this middle school event, here's whatever, these girls are in cheer, but by the time they're on the sidelines
of an NFL game
or they're the dance team, they're there for entertainment and arousal. Okay, that's what it is. So
no, they help the players score.
So
they're part of the game.
So to reject that very nature by, I'm not saying male cheerleaders. We have friends that have been male cheerleaders. Right. They're there to support. They're there to catch. They're there for safety. They're there for strength. They're here to help support. In this case, I'm trying to remember what they call them, the flyers.
Yes, that's
if
right.
If you're a flyer as a cheerleader, they're there to help support you and protect you.
And keep you from falling and hitting the ground when you've been thrown 25 feet in the air.
Exactly. They're not there to dance around like the women. Because if you want to know what the quickest way to end male arousal at any sort of football, basketball, whatever event where they're featuring cheerleaders to have a dude dancing around like a woman.
That's it right there.
That is the foundational problem we have. It's a total rejection of the basis as to why they're there.
And the fact that they look like look what the cat dragged in cover of the 1986 87 Poison record is another thing that throws me such a curveball. I didn't understand that then. Even though I love their music, I was like, man, these dudes look. Why do you think they dress up like that? They're trying to get attention. I get it. Whatever. It was glam rock. Whatever.
The Vikings was the one that I saw that people were talking about. Is it permeating the NFL this year?
The
Patriots.
There's another.
Carolina has actually a trans cheerleader.
Yeah, So they're. But the dude, the Patriots dude, that I don't understand why somebody in the NFL wasn't like, hey man, this ain't a good idea. Who in the NFL could stand up and be like, I know.
Well, I would say this.
Let's not do this.
Minnesota, and they have had a nickname for years, and it's been based off of their foot. Now, again, they're a really good football team.
Yeah, sure.
They've had a nickname for years that they've been used to be made fun of. As they would call the Cowboys the Cowgirls. Well, there's not one thing about the Cowboys where you would say, well, they're going to allow a man onto America's Sweethearts.
Yeah.
Like, it ain't happening.
No.
That's not happening. But now the Vikings. Does it not totally fit there?
Totally does.
Pretty good.
Because that's what the rest of the NFC North calls them. It's not my nickname.
Yeah.
It's their Cheesehead, Packer fan, Detroit fan. This is what they call them. This is what they regularly call them.
Did they just lean into it? Is that?
Well, apparently they are now.
Well, I know they are now, but that's what. Who had the bright idea of, hey, let's try to lean into that name. Let's try to embrace it.
The rest of the NFC North calls us.
Somebody should have been like,
It's like, hey, they call us this for a reason. What are we doing here?
I don't know, guys.
But there you go.
Now it all makes sense.
When you ask the question as to why are they doing this, because you have a foundational misunderstanding. This is some marketing representative they're crazy woke mind, and what they're failing to understand, just as Bud Light did not understand at the same time, this is about boobs and beer and arousal. All right? That's what it is. On Sunday, especially when my team doesn't play well, especially when the Cowboys disappoint me, again, I'm grounded in the fact that Brian Schottenheimer is going to be disappointing to me. So what am I waiting for? Shots of cheerleaders on the sideline. Okay? That's my Sunday. It ain't Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, we noticed that you were gyrating a little bit and really playing up to the camera. We need you to
back.
Do you think there's a point where I went, we just got out of an ad for Viagra, followed by another beer ad, followed by go buy a boat, and we're coming back.
And a Sidney Sweeney ad.
That's right. And as we come out of break and the Cowboys are down by 17 points in the third quarter, here's Jeff. And the first thing I thought of was what I really needed was a man gyrating in front of me trying to get me aroused.
One of our favorite listeners, at Know It All Mom, she said this a minute ago when we started this topic. And she says, cheerleaders at NFL games are there for TNA.
Yes.
She spells it out. She spells it out.
Simple.
But it's the truth. I mean, it's not even a question.
No, when we go, tonight, I'm going to go to a football game. It's my first high school football game.
Dude, this is going to be it is totally off topic. This is going to be the best 4 years. So much fun.
A teammate of my daughter in volleyball, her father's the head football coach.
Oh, that's cool.
We have known about him coaching for years. It's going to be the first time we get to go see him in his element. I'm so looking forward to this. Now, when those cheerleaders come out, I'm going to be like, look at those girls and their skill. That's what they're doing.
Go.
That's cool. Hey, when you go to your competition in Dallas or Orlando or anything else, go win, go do your thing.
That's right.
But when it gets to the NFL level,
totally different.
It's totally different. This is what it is.
And they don't even make that much. People, some people think they make
it's a small time. It's a part-time job. It's a Sunday job only.
But it is to get you all kinds of attention that you would have probably never gotten otherwise. This is such an open door, and the NFL teams know that. They know people are going to sign up to be one of the most, especially if it's a Cowboys cheerleader, right?
Yeah.
One of the most famous. They do TV shows about it. You want to talk about putting in a little bit of time and getting a whole lot of reward? That's the way to do it.
You're trying to get into the calendar shoot because that opens all sorts of doors. So I've said what I've said. I don't need Jeff on Sunday. Unless Jeff is catching the flyers.
Yes. But the problem is...
And he's built like Zeno. Okay?
Our friend Mark Zeno, who was
a male cheerleader in Baltimore, and his job was to protect the ladies.
Don't let them hit the ground.
Yep.
When they get tossed way up in the air, doing the cool twists and turns and things. So anyway, I didn't mean to get us off on that, but I just, when I was...
you just glanced at it and you're like, really?
Why?
Yeah, let's get into California now. Okay, here we go.
Yes, that's right.
Now we're warmed up.
Yes, that's right. Because there were some ICE arrests in California, and it was so funny to see Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass and all these people just melt down. You talk about a troll job.
Here's how the new right works. You're going to have an event. You've publicized the event. This is going to be we're going to take back. California's going to lead the way. By the way, just a background here. You have 67% of Californians that have been polled that do not want to change any of their voting districts. 72% of independents do not want any of their voting districts changed as of now. So when Gavin Newsom's talking about, we're going to eliminate 5 Republican seats and add 5 Democrat seats, a large majority of his state does not want anything to do with it. Good luck to him. But when ICE rolls in to Gavin Newsom's event and starts apprehending illegals outside, an event that was already sparsely populated to start with.
That's right.
All right, here's Gavin Newsom. Here's his response to being basically trolled by Donald Trump and the administration.
Well, I think it's pretty sick and pathetic. And it just said everything you need to know, the setting that we're under. That they chose the time, manner, and place.
Yeah, they did.
To send their district director outside right when we're about to have this press conference. Said everything you know about Donald Trump's America. And that was top down. You know that for a fact. They'll deny it, I'm sure.
No,
they won't deny it. It said everything you know about the authoritarian tendencies of the President of the United States. I said it a moment ago, wake up, America. Wake up. You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a 3rd term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him. The most corrupt president in history.
I already saw that last.
Doesn't believe in free enterprise.
No.
Crony capitalism.
Yes.
He is wrecking this country, wrecking the economy.
Yeah,
He's
right.
a lawless president. Wake up, America. Wake up to what's going on.
Well, here's the problem. When you try to use your laws, your lawfare, none of it worked. And then he ended up winning the election and won every single area that he needed to win. Gavin Newsom, here's the fun part about all this stuff. He's actually complaining about, and this is some bully stuff, and I'm here for it. This is what I voted for. He's complaining about law enforcement showing up to enforce the laws.
Let that just bounce around in your head.
He's complaining about law enforcement showing up to his event to enforce laws.
Oh, shucks.
And he wasn't the only one, because then there was Karen Bass. Now, you know what happens when you think you're the cool kid? They look at it as like, we're the drama kids, we're the cool kids, we're the ones who runs everything. And then you run into somebody who really actually is. And you know what? Maybe it's the brute. Maybe he pushed you. Maybe he stuffed you in a locker. You thought you were real cool.
Give you the swirly.
You got the swirly. You got the head the toilet. You know, you got stuffed into the locker. Your lunch money's gone because you got the real man that showed up. All right, with the real power. That's why Karen Bass was twisting off and so incredibly angry. Listen to the vitriol. Listen to the anger of this woman of like, how dare he? Which, by the way, she had no recourse at all.
Not believe that this just happened to be a coincidence.
There is no way this was a coincidence. This was widely publicized that the governor and many of our other elected officials were having a press conference here to talk about redistricting, and they decided they were going to come and thumb their nose in front of the governor's face. Why would you do that? That is unbelievably disrespectful. It's a provocative act. They're talking about disorder in Los Angeles, and they are the source of the disorder in Los Angeles right now. This is just completely unacceptable. This is a administration, this is a Customs and Border Patrol that has gone amok. This absolutely has to stop. There was no danger here. There was no need to detain anyone here. And there was certainly no need to have a provocative act right here where the governor is having a press conference.
Well, yes, there were. There were people that were breaking the law.
They were standing around, they were illegal.
That had already broken the law and not been held accountable.
They actually thought they were going to be able to hold an event where they would thumb their noses at the rest of the country and tell you, well, we're going to get it back for all of y'all, and here's how we're going to do it. And Donald Trump, the administration, rolled in and said, we're going to enforce the laws right in front of you.
I don't know that it was this reason, but it sure did. It sure helped. With Gavin Newsom doing what he did on social media, by taking Donald Trump's all caps and using Donald Trump's verbiage a lot of times in his own social media posts just to rub it in Donald Trump's face, to put, a thumb in his eye. And Trump sees that and goes, oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Checkmate.
Here, take this. I mean, this is the fight that we talk about. And if we can ramp this up into eventual indictments of these people that have been criminals. I mean, Gavin Newsom is actually going out and trying to act like he's some beacon of his party. And this is a guy who allegedly stole a crazy ton of money from the Palisades fire. Filtered it all to an NGO run by his wife.
Yeah.
I mean, we have this documented now. They know that here's where the money went. And they're like, well, where did it disperse from there? Nobody knows.
It's amazing how it works with those NGOs that way.
Strange how this happened. So you actually stole money from people in real need, allegedly. And now you think to yourself, my brand is so big, I'll be the one to show you that I'm fighting back against Trump. About the only people that are backing any of this stuff are the social media influencers that are paid to.
It's funny you bring that up, because I read this morning that Crowds on Demand, the requests for their work up 400% in the last couple weeks, because they plan to, protests everywhere as much as they possibly can. It's the same thing. It's all astroturf. It's all artificial. It's just, it's pointless. It's no need to even pay attention to it. Gavin Newsom thought, I got him. And then he got. When we come back on Extra 106.3, if you feel like you have more money in your pocket right now, it's probably because you do. Next on Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, August 15th. The Atlanta Braves end up taking 2 of 3 from the struggling New York Mets in New York, concluding the series last night with a 4-3 win. Second baseman Ozzie Albies with a 3 RBI night. The team now moves on to Cleveland to play the Indy Guardians for a 3-game weekend series. It'll be Hurston Waldrop on the mound against Joey Cantillo. First pitch is set for 7:10. You can hear that game live on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. From the NFL, the Falcons play preseason game number 2 tonight at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as they host the Tennessee Titans and number 1 overall draft pick quarterback Cam Ward. That kickoff is set for 7 o'clock. With your sports updates, I'm Carlos Medina.
You ever feel like when you get something done that you're very proud of it, you feel like a feeling of accomplishment? It's kind of the same way when you do upgrades to your home. Whether you're doing them or you have them done, when you see the result, you're like, man, it looks great. And then you want to, continue. You want to do more because you're seeing results. You like what you see. Let me help you with a company that can make those changes in your home that you will be so proud of. It's Southern Exteriors. 877-9Southern, southernexteriors.co. Whether they're replacing windows or doors, siding, fixing the roof, replacing the roof. Doesn't matter. Either one will be just fine.
An investment in your home is something
you need is going to be just fine, because they will make it easy. They'll have a foreman on site to make sure that the work gets done to your specifications, exactly what you asked for. Let me tell you, there's not many people, not many companies that will have someone on site to make sure that every nail that's put in the roof or everything that's done with windows or doors are done to your expectation. That's what they do at Southern Exteriors. Right now, you can get 10% off any job, no matter how big, or you can save by doing 12 months, 0% financing. Totally up to you. All you have to do is reach out. Get the ball started. They're waiting on your call right now at 877-9Southern, southernexteriors.co.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
An investment in your home is something that will pay off in the future, but it's something that you can enjoy right now. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. A beautiful new garage door, entry doors, and windows are an investment you can love every day, and they will increase your home's value, energy efficiency, and curb appeal. All Four Seasons, trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years, exceptional customer service, and high-quality work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garage.
Hey, it's a Kimmer talking about Stovall.
Yeah, I just wanted to brag on Stovall. I went up there and actually got a quote on some of their material up there, and he gave me the quotes I wanted, but he said what would work best, they don't carry, and referred me to one of their competitors. That's how good they are. And sure enough, he was right. The material he was talking about that they don't carry, it's actually going to work best for me. So I've got that on the way. It all worked out well. Makes me want to go back and buy something from them now.
Folks, when it comes to landscaping supplies, start at Stovall. 11 locations around Atlanta. Online at StovallInc.com. Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Modular and offsite construction is booming. If you're an architect, building engineer, supplier, developer, or contractor, you can't miss the Offsite Construction Summit, returning to the International Convention Center in Atlanta on August 19th. With the rising cost of traditional building, modular and offsite construction is changing the way companies build housing, retail, healthcare, restaurants, and more. So don't miss the Offsite Construction Summit on August 19th. This is your opportunity to create new business and learn from the industry's best. Register today at offsiteconstructionnetwork.com. That's offsiteconstructionnetwork.com.
Extra 106.3 is live on your ride home with the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder from 3 to 6 p.m.
1992, rapper Ice-T said Warner Brothers is going to pull the song Cop Killer from all future copies of his album Body Count. Is he the one that does the commercials on the beach with a Mexican beer or something?
No, that's Snoop Dogg.
Oh, Snoop Dogg. Is that the same as it's not the same guy, right?
No.
I just checked.
Ice-T was in the Shark movie that killed Samuel L. Jackson, the Shark ate him.
Oh,
Sharknado?
Shark. Oh,
no, not Sharknado.
Deep Blue Sea?
Yeah.
Because that was LL Cool J.
Oh, whoops.
Oh. Well, we know once in a while you got the white guys.
Rappers,
I mean,
these rappers sound alike.
Well, I get it mixed up when I'm driving home. Ice-T, Soldier Boy. I mean, who the hell am I supposed to,
The Kimmer Show on Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
At the end of the day, I think the American people just want to live in peace, not have to deal with crime, and have a couple dollars in their pocket to be able to save, to sock away for their future. It's a pretty easy recipe, and Donald Trump understands that recipe probably more than most do.
The numbers, now that we have the perspective of time, they're kind of shocking. Because remember when the estimates were under Joe Biden with his economy that the average American family was seeing what was about $7,000, the difference in what it had cost just a couple years before. Now, that's not all on Joe, although a big part is, because he could have controlled inflation if at any point. Instead, what the Democrats did is they took the baseline spending that occurred during COVID, when suddenly we decided, let's shut down the economy, let's print an extra $1 trillion, send everybody money to stay home. The Democrats went, well, if you're spending $7 trillion now, that's the new number. We're going to spend $7 trillion no matter what, rather than going, that was an emergency. You weren't at war. A war with a virus. It was a war. You weren't at war with the Germans.
Yeah.
Or the Japanese.
Or anybody.
Okay? You weren't at war in Southeast Asia. You were having to get past a period. It was 2 weeks to stop the spread. Man, I am so bitter about that still. Okay.
And rightfully so.
So here's now the numbers. And this was from CNBC yesterday. And this is the trajectory of what's happening right now. This is the reason why it was brought up. You're going to take a listen to these analysts. They're going to tell you the difference of what occurred from Donald Trump 1.0, okay? So 2016 into 2020, 2021, and then what happened with Joe Biden. Take a listen and see if these numbers make sense for you as to what happened in your home and what you're now starting to see again.
I got to get you to the information you brought us. A new report from your group, Unleash Prosperity. Get this, finds that real median household income under President Trump's first administration grew up to $6,000, and that is 10 times more than income grew under President Biden. Talk to us about these findings, and what does it mean for where wages are going now?
Well, it shows that Trump's first term was really amazingly good for working class families. Those are median income statistics that you're citing. So those are people, Jerry, right in the exact middle class, and they did very well. They saw big, and by the way, those gains probably would have been closer to 8,000 if it had not been for COVID and the huge mistake that we made in shutting down our economy.
$6,000 was the difference, median household income, of what they were feeling between that period and Joe Biden. So that 7,000 number, it wasn't far off.
No, it was
actually pretty spot on. And so what the point of that audio was that the analyst starts pointing out, this is what's happening again. You can take the height of what the Biden inflation and the cost and everything going up on a regular basis, and now we're starting to see the flatlining of all that, but real wages are moving up ahead of inflation. Because at that point, remember, when you're dealing with 18% inflation, yet you got a 10% raise, you're still behind.
That's right. But right now, to go along with those numbers and what Trump is trying to accomplish, gas prices being down 2.2%. It's down, and if you go back to Joe Biden, gas prices, it's down 11% total.
That's an 11% raise for you.
Dude, absolutely right. And I can see it when I fill up my gas guzzling truck.
Same thing.
Dude, I got, a 21-gallon tank, and there's times when there for a while it felt like I could go in, to the gas station, go to the bathroom, pick up a bottle of water and a snack, and come back, and that thing was still just finally
85,
yeah, exactly.
95.
Dude,
oh God,
well, dude, it was.
Yeah,
no, you're not kidding, man.
I know.
It was like 92, 93, 94, depending on how low you get. $100 to fill up. Nobody can live that way. Nobody. So when you go to the gas station and you go, man, I can actually afford gas, dude, you want to talk about a relief? You probably don't think about it every time.
No.
But you can't help but miss the fact that it's happening.
It's all around the margins. Like, I notice it now at Publix with the handful of things I'm buying, and I go,
so do we.
When I walked out and it was like 8 items, and I was like, why did I spend $75 on 8 items? Well, now if I spend $75, it's closer to like 15, 16, 17 items. Okay. And I'm largely still buying the same stuff. Just here's what happens. And that is, again, from just an economic perspective, it's always the percentages at a time. Like, you're not going to notice, okay, that changed, that came down by 6%. Well, this item came down by 9%. You're just like, okay, that's fine. It's when in total you go, oh, okay, that was interesting. And so much of it was always tied back to energy production and future energy production.
I can notice it with my own wife. When we go shop, we always go shopping, grocery shopping after church on Sundays. And I've noticed this with her. She brought this up the other day. She was like, the bread that we've been getting has a whole bunch of ingredients, and it uses, what is it? I forget how it's put.
Electrolytes?
No,
it's electrolytes.
It's genetically modified ingredients, and you're just like, ugh.
Okay, what is this?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, what is this?
But electrolytes.
But when gas is more expensive, you don't want to make 2 trips.
No.
You're just there. It's cheaper. It's a little cheaper. My wife goes the other day, she said, you know what? We should start making a second. We should stop here to get a few things and then go over there because their bread has 3 ingredients and I can read it. It's a little more expensive. It's going to take the time and the cost of gas to get to the second place, but it's better quality, better for us. When things are not going well economically, you don't even consider that.
You don't even consider it.
That conversation came up this past Sunday.
Yeah.
That's how I know.
You simply say, all right, what's available, or beans and weenies.
Yeah, exactly. You're not making extra trips. You're not paying extra because you can't afford to. And my wife she's an accountant by nature, so she's a bean counter. She's making sure she knows which I love. I'm a saver by nature, so it really works.
Tug just spends. He's like, give me the money.
Come on.
Let's go.
Dude, I'm like at the strip club.
Oh, yeah. Like
making it rain.
Today was payday, and he's already told me, he's like, I'm going to the check counting place, going to get myself a whole bottle, going home.
Two Whalen t-shirts.
Going to throw on the tassels, just going to spin them around. Them around.
You don't know what's going to happen this weekend. It's going to be off the charts. I don't got to move a kid in. I'm going to eat good, healthy bread and raise hell. That's my Friday.
This is order of operations.
That's right.
Good, healthy bread and raise hell.
I mean, that's a country song if I've ever heard one.
You're going to walk into some bar somewhere, and they're going to be like, oh, there's something different about this guy. You're going to be like, healthy bread.
That's right. I feel better. I got more money. Give me a double. The people good old days.
But yeah, that's the direction things are going. It's real.
But
that's good.
That's when I can see it. Right? It's easy for our girl Batya Sargon for her to say things are gas is down 2.2%. It's one thing to say that, but when you see it actually changing the things that you do on a weekly basis, that's when you know it's real.
And as we continue to see the ramp up of this program of getting people here that are here illegally, you're going to see wages rise, especially on the lower end of stuff. Eventually, that pushes to, especially again with the H-1 visa program and everything else. If we start keeping it to Americans, then American companies have to spend for American talent. And that benefits everybody.
It's the way it should be, man. When we continue on Extra 106.3, got a Neil Bortz report for you in a Fox News update. The Trump administration is prepping you for what you're going to see in the near future. Next on Extra.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Well, we know the bias is out there. It's in the media. It's in much of corporate America. Certainly, it's out there in the world of information technology. How is that bias put into practice? Well, here's an example I never thought about, and maybe you haven't either. Both Republicans and Democrats send out emails targeting voters and citizens for donations. You have a fundraising group called Act Blue, obviously Democrats. Another one, Win Red, obviously Republicans. There are others, and you may get an email from them, or maybe not, soliciting donations. Now, the Republican National Committee filed a lawsuit a couple of years ago alleging bias in email filtering. That was last year. A federal judge threw the lawsuit out. In 2023, the Federal Election Commission dismissed a Republican National Committee complaint about the spam filters in Gmail. Okay, let me cut to the chase. Here is how it works. Google has been particularly blatant at this. When Google recognizes an email sent soliciting donations to a Republican cause, the Google email filter may warn you that this email might contain spam so that you don't click on it. Or it just might send the email directly to your spam filter. Democrat emails, not so much. Study a few years ago from the North Carolina State University found that these email providers would flag Republican emails as being suspicious 60% more times than Democrat emails. The Federal Election Commission is looking at this right now. Do you think any enforcement action is going to be taken? Yeah, neither do I. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Hey, it's Los here to tell you about a new, stress-free, and completely transparent way to purchase your next pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. It's with Tom Mitchell, the honest car guy. Tom, traditionally, I've been a payment buyer. How do you work with that type of buyer?
I have people that come in all the time and they want to spend $20,000,
$20,000. Okay, if their payments are $400 on $20,000, they don't realize without the doc fees, without all this other stuff, we can put them in a 22 or 23 model car, and we can spend a little bit more money and have the same payment. So if you're a payment buyer, don't come in here just saying, I want to spend $20,000, because we can sit there and help you, and we can put you in a newer car with lesser miles at a payment you need.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME-1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
High stakes. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump posted that in all caps, 3 exclamation points on Truth Social as he gets ready to take off for Alaska in his face-to-face meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, trying to get him to stop the war in Ukraine. The president just got onto Air Force One 3 minutes ago. Fox's Peter Ducey's in Anchorage.
If this meeting goes sideways and the end of the war in Ukraine does not appear to be near, the president plans to punish Russia and Russia's trading partners with new economic sanctions. But if it goes well, President Trump is going to bring President Zelensky into the fold.
But Fox's Greg Palcott reports Putin may not be making many concessions.
It is assumed he will be asking for all the land, some 20% of Ukraine in the south and east that they've managed to occupy in all this time of fighting, basically keeping the front line as it is and maybe more.
Texas Democratic lawmakers who left the state planning to return after a special legislative session ends today, though the governor's threatened to call a new one. Former President Obama is in a call with those lawmakers, and he said they're inspiring, blocking a vote on a congressional redistricting thing that could give Republicans 5 more House seats in next year's election, something California is planning to counter.
We're here because Donald Trump, on January 6th, tried to light democracy on fire, tried to wreck this country, tried to steal an election.
Governor Gavin Newsom has called a special election in November to approve a California redistricting to give Democrats 5 more House seats. The governor was upset that as he held his news conference, Border Patrol agents were outside conducting immigration enforcement actions.
I think it's pretty sick and pathetic.
One person was taken into custody. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino said,
"We're here making Los Angeles a safer place. Since we won't have politicians that'll do that, we do that ourselves."
The day after a scare, about 5 envelopes containing white powder evacuated a federal building in New York City. That powder is being analyzed at the FBI's lab in Virginia. 2 employees in the mailroom of the Immigration Enforcement Office were exposed directly, but no one's been reported injured. America's listening to Fox News.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything. But while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Search for the Extra 106.3 app wherever you download apps by searching XTRA 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station.
We'd be remiss if we didn't say today was the 80th anniversary of VJ Day, victory over Japan, and that iconic picture of the sailor kissing the nurse. I think she was a nurse in Times Square. Just as a Navy guy, man, there's no more cool picture that I could think of than that one right there, man. It summarizes, the Navy really well.
But it's also, there's something iconic about, you just had people that sacrificed a large part of their lives. In some cases, some of them 6 years, but, at the very minimum, 2 to 4 years, where everything was about the war effort. And now suddenly it's all over. Like, you could actually go back to peacetime. You can actually start thinking about a future that doesn't include, okay, how do I get through the next day, the next tour, the next trip?
Yeah. Focus on building a family, building a career. I mean, He had so many baseball players that went back to playing baseball.
You look at Ted Williams.
Ted Williams, yeah.
Look at Ted Williams' numbers while he was a fighter pilot and what he gave up while he was gone and then came back and was still a Hall of Fame amazing player. Yeah. But he gave up a couple years where you just went, man, it would have been even bigger had Ted decided not to go serve his country in the war. But that's what he was going to do.
In his prime.
Yeah.
Because we joke about us being soldiers now. And the reason we joke about that is because Ukraine is actually dealing with that as Trump goes to try to broker a into the war with Russia and Ukraine. And that's who they're using, 45. That's the average age of Ukrainian soldiers is 45. They're not in their prime. They're everything but their prime. And Ted Williams, in his prime, leaves for a couple years and comes back and still is amazing. But if you take out those years.
24, 25, and 26. From 43 to 45, he did not play. He was flying military aircraft.
Goodness.
And then came back at 27 years old and was MVP of the league.
Dang, man. Like he just picked up where he left off.
That's pretty amazing.
It's unbelievable, dude. It really is.
What a ball player.
Yeah. And what a generation, too, though. I mean, they gave up everything. Do you think, and maybe I'll be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, do you think there's anybody that's playing baseball right now, if World War broke out like it was then, would raise their hand and say, yeah, I'll give up all these millions ago? I think the percentage is really small, where the biggest stars did it in World War II. DiMaggio did it. I mean, you got Ted Williams doing it. I mean,
yeah, but it's a different time, too.
Sure, of course it is.
And what I'm really pointing out is, if I'm on a $30 million contract, it makes it very hard to end up being Pat Tillman. You know, Pat Tillman, who decided, and by the way, and Pat Tillman at the time, his contract was over. He was a free agent. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I want to do something different.
Yeah, kind of timed out.
I remember reading an article about him in Sports Illustrated, just back when he was at Arizona State. And one of the things I did respect about him that was just interesting, just wired differently. He was told by the coaching staff, hey, we're going to redshirt you your freshman year. He's like, no, you're not. Like, and of course, they're blown away. Like, what do you mean? No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
He's like, I'm going to be here for 4 years. I got other plans. And they were all kind of blown away by this. This is a guy who has a direction that's more than just, hey, I'm going to play football.
And I hope to get to the NFL.
And then he does. And what did he tell them? I'm going to play my contract. I got other things I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I think it takes somebody who's wired a little differently.
Yeah.
When the amount of money and what it requires to be a professional athlete, I think that's very hard to turn on and off. During that time period, when we're talking about World War II, obviously it's a fight for survival within the world. You could probably leave behind a contract paying you $5,000.
Yeah, for sure. But I would imagine then that $5,000 was
probably pretty big.
A whole lot.
But it,
because you think about, remember I brought up the Phil Necro thing where they were giving him $250 a week and $2 for food.
Yeah, he's like, really? We have to pay $250 a week? No, we're going to give you $250.
Yeah, I mean, so those $5,000.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what Ted Williams' salary was in 1942.
It'd be fascinating to know, because I would like to think there is one person, at least one, or a handful, that says, I don't care about the money. I've made plenty of money. If I have to put my contract on hold, whatever, this is a bigger calling, this is a deeper calling.
He made $20,000 in 1941.
Exactly. Call. But can you imagine what $20,000 in 41 was? Like, I wish I knew what that was in today. Like, what's the equation there in today's dollars? What'd you say? What'd you find?
Okay, so your military pay based on where you were. Now, a private in 1941 earned $50 a month. Let's just, obviously, he was flying planes.
Yeah, so above that.
Probably significantly above that. But let's just call it $150 a month versus the $20,000 he was going to get. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You decided we're going to go do something a little bit bigger here. Probably going to make $2,000 versus $20,000.
Yeah. I'd like to think there's people in Major League Baseball or in the NFL or wherever, even college sports, says this is a bigger calling for me. I feel, led to do this. Maybe. I'd like to think that would be the case.
You never know.
Got my fingers crossed. It would certainly give me a lot of hope.
I think a lot of people, it would come down to, obviously how they're wired, but then contract. It's really difficult to, in these cases in sports, it's difficult to get out of a contract.
Sure.
Because in the NFL, if you want out of a contract, the NFL, the team, has a right to ask for a portion of your prorated signing bonus back.
Sure, yeah.
So it's like, so I'm going to leave, and I got to pay you money that you already paid me? Yeah.
You don't talk about some pressure, though? You don't talk about, you had to go to social media. I want to go serve my nation because this world war is broken out, but the Falcons won't let me. You're talking about a pressure campaign.
All Barry Sanders had, one of the greatest running backs of all time, was, I just think we're going to suck. I'm done.
Yeah.
And the Lions were like, well, we just gave you a contract a couple years ago, so you owe us a prorated portion of the signing bonus back.
Sure.
He had to write them a check so he could walk away at 29 years old.
But I'm telling you that I think it would have to be, like I said, World War to be able to win that pressure campaign. But I think...
Now I'm going to go ask Grok how much it was.
I love it. While you look that up, we get into the conversation of Trump. Because of his honesty, there's a reason, I feel like, that he's being so honest. He's being so transparent, especially with the Russiagate stuff. Because he wants you to know he's not going to let this go. How many times have we talked about it on the show, Los, where it's always the Republicans are like, well, we've won, we're going to let it go, we're going to move past, it's better for the country to do this. And at what point did we realize maybe it's not better for the country to just move on?
The last 4 years. That's when it became wildly apparent.
Because Donald Trump moved on too. He was one of them. I'm not going after Hillary.
Not going after Hillary.
I'm moving on.
It was one, and now this is a little different. When it was Lois Lerner and it was the IRS, that was that they did not grant the same status to Tea Party organizations that they granted to others. And we thought, okay, well, that's pretty low down. You're not going to give tax-exempt status to these people, but it wasn't like they went after them to put them in prison. It wasn't until we got beyond the first Trump administration that then it turned into censorship, prison, take this shot or else. We'll put you into a camp. In fact, we want to put you in camp. We want to take your kids away. It was all of the authoritarianism that they talked about they would get with Donald Trump. And I think that is now the reason why people are being prepped for, we're coming after him in a way that's never happened before.
And you better be ready for something that you probably haven't seen before. These are people that are maybe even iconic to the left, what's left of the left. And they could end up in shackles. They could end up with a bug shot. They could end up in front of a judge answering for the crimes that they've committed. And for the first time in American history, or at least to my knowledge and in my experience, I feel like they're justified and they should. Do not let it go. I don't want them to.
If you tell me Letitia James committed mortgage fraud, all right, that's not unusual in terms of what politicians do. A lot of them believe they're above the law and this is what they're going to do. Adam Schiff looks like he committed mortgage fraud. The bigger question is, when it comes to these, members of the deep state, they had to have committed some sort of issue in creating a program to go after a sitting president using the FBI and the CIA. Not only just spy on is one thing. You tried to destroy an American presidency because he wasn't your guy. And so I think that's why you're being prepped, but you're also being prepped for this, Tug. And you alluded to what is going on in a number of these other states. The federal government right now is preparing for what happens if lawlessness breaks out on the left.
A reaction force, 600 National Guard troops. If this is adopted, this is a leaked memo from inside the Pentagon. Washington Post did a small article on it. The only other one that I could find when I was looking for it a couple days ago was AL.com, that Alabama website, and they did an article based on the Pentagon plan that Washington Post published. But like I said, it's only a paragraph, but they were interested because one of the bases would be in Alabama for anything east of the Mississippi. The other base is in Arizona for anything west of the Mississippi. But it's National Guard troops, 300 at each organization or each base, and they would rotate and be ready. The whole strike force would be ready to move within an hour. And I believe this is why.
So there's such a thing. You can look them up. You can read into them. We have such a thing in war theaters as quick reactionary forces. If we have a scenario that requires these people to immediately be on a helicopter and get somewhere, that's what they have. And oftentimes, you have a combat unit in trouble, you have reinforcement. If you have a downed aircraft, this is what they do. This is what these forces do. It sounds like they're organizing quick reaction forces if you have anywhere that suddenly lights up and goes crazy. So, for instance, if you happen to, let's say you happen to indict Hillary Clinton based on what she did, and suddenly you have a pop-up in terms of, let's say, a protest in Minneapolis that now turns violent and turns into burning down the city once again. It sounds like they want to have actionable people ready for leftist violence when this stuff starts to go down.
And the official title alludes to that too. They're called the Domestic Civil Disturbance Quick Reaction Force. Dude, that's
what it sounds like.
Exactly.
You're being prepped for all of this right now.
Exactly right.
This isn't the reason why Kash Patel was on with, I think it was Sean Hannity last night, and I just saw a couple of the clips. He talked about what's coming. Pam Bondi was on telling you what's coming. Tulsi Gabbard has been telling you what's coming. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio. You're being prepped for these people to, hopefully, it should be this way, for them to face justice. But we're also now getting America prepped for, here's the response from the violent left, because the street communist has no issue with causing problems in American cities.
And interesting that Trump decided to federalize D.C. to get it stabilized first, because that's probably where the indictments would be announced.
Surprise, surprise.
Dude, everything is starting to lay in, dovetail in. There's a reason that you get a daily email. Okay, here's a new D-class. They want you to understand. They want you to have had time to digest each email, what it says, what it's about, who's done what, and what crimes are being or had allegedly been committed. So you're well versed. You understand what's happened, and then you understand why they're making the decision they are, and they're ready just in case things get sideways.
FBI Director Kash Patel made the point last night on television. He said this information, this treasure trove of information, it's like it wasn't sitting in an office.
It was in a skiff.
He said it was locked away in a building in Langley. He goes, and it wasn't one burn bag. He said it was 7 burn bags.
Yep.
Like all of this was supposed to be incinerated so that we never knew what these people were involved in.
Never see the light of day.
They would never see the light of day. He goes, it was, and that's the other part. It wasn't documents, just documents. He's like, they had drives.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They had hard drives, they had thumb drives, they had all of this information. So this was meant to be incinerated, meant to go away before this administration was ever in here. You know, this is the raid on Mar-a-Lago. This is what they were looking for. This was the treasure trove that would take out the deep state. And so you recognize the deep state is going to fight back once this thing starts.
You bet they are. There's a reason that crowd gathering company, the one that brings protesters together, have seen a 400% increase in the last 3 weeks. They show up wherever, and they're paid protesters.
Yes.
These people are paid to be there. And then you got to remember all these other parties that want to see the America crumble. They want to see America shaken. Outside sources like China. There's probably plenty of countries that are Iran paying people.
So this was interesting from Joe Rogan podcast with Anna Paulina Luna. She's been calling it Temu riots.
Yeah.
She says because what's going on now is China will find a pain point and they'll fund the NGO.
Yep.
To then create and she says their primary one that they were doing that was going on in California was let's find Mexican groups and fund them to show up to protest, to divide. She's like, it's Temu riot. It's what it is.
Yeah.
I love the lining of it.
Oh, yeah, because everybody knows what Temu is.
Yeah.
It's very cheap and gets to you quick.
Right. Cheap, gets to you quick. Here's what it is. I think a lot of this is going to come down to what the general American believes. And as of now, when you look at the polling, it's that what was done to President Trump, in part because of his popularity now, what was done to him in 2016 and moving forward all the way until he was a private citizen again was wrong. It was just wrong. And so now, when these communities start to flare up, when we start putting these people into indictments and having what's going to happen, when it starts turning into, we're going to protest hard. Remember, as you said, hey, 400% increase. Those aren't the people that throw the bricks through the windows. These other people are giving the cover. Like they're part of the, it's when the real professional agitators roll in, the Antifa people.
Yeah. That's right.
And they mix in and make it look like, man, there's 3,000 people and they're rioting. No, there's 2,900 people and there's 30 people from Antifa that are there to cause problems.
Yeah, and it's bought and paid for by the Chinese or whomever left us.
Or whoever.
Soros comes to mind. I mean, he's not a... We know that there were bricks laid in Minneapolis for a reason.
Strange.
Pallets of bricks
So
just
odd.
showing up.
Had them here in Atlanta.
That's right. God, man. You just have to realize what you're up against. I think that's key.
We're being prepped, man.
Absolutely have to realize what is on the horizon. It could get very chaotic. Very chaotic.
By the way, Barry Sanders, when he quit the Lions, when he retired after his season, an arbiter said, okay, you owe them $1.8 million. The Lions had had asked for a larger portion of his signing bonus, which would have been $7.3 million. Because he signed the deal in 97 and was like, all right, now I'm out. And they're like, well, you owe us $7 million.
Yeah. And then he had to cut a check for 1.8, you said?
1.8 in order to be able to walk away. There was an arbitrator like, let's cut this thing down.
Seems like he's still made out because he's still functional. You know what I mean? He's still able to get around. He's still in good shape. He was smart, man.
It's just hard to walk away from these contracts.
I know, but he's like Seinfeld a little bit, right? Just leave at the top of your game. That's what he did. 8 o'clock hour brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. Georgia's District 11 U.S. Representative Barry Loudermilk joins us next on Extra 106.3.
If you love 106.3, then you'll love the all-new Extra 106.3 app. It's loaded with replays of your favorite shows like The Morning Xtra and The Kimmer Show, podcasts from conservative voices across the South, and access to Extra's crystal clear live stream from anywhere in Georgia. Grab it now for Apple or Android.
Hey, it's Tug for Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Chuck and his team been operating in Atlanta for so many years. And you ask how many years? 78. 78 years. That's an institution if you ask me. You don't stick around for 78 years unless you're doing something right. They are one of the few second-generation, locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. They are your Atlanta carrier experts. And when you turn to the experts, when you turn to them for a carrier system, they can hook you up just right. They can give you a brand new carrier system that will do everything you need it to do, and they will install it, and there will be no issues. When is the last time you say you've had somebody at their house and there were no issues? It went exactly as planned, exactly like they told you it was going to. I know in my experience is rare. With Central Heating and Air Conditioning, it happens every day. So turn to the carrier experts, Chuck and his team, Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They can do a maintenance agreement, make sure that those carrier systems run as long as they can, or any other system, any other brand for that matter. You got a repair needs to be done, they can do it. Doesn't matter the brand, but if you need a new carrier system, they can provide that too. 78 years, that should speak volumes. You don't stay in business that long unless you're doing it right. Now call them, 770-GET-HEAT, or go to centralheat.com.
Join Daniel Matalon, CEO of A Second Chance Bail Bonds, and co-host Tug Cowart as they bring together law enforcement, justice insiders, and voices from every part of the justice system, victims, advocates, and people who've turned their lives around. It's an honest talk about what's working, what's broken, and how to build a better path forward, one second chance at a time. This week's guests are former APD Chief Bryant and Natalie Ammons from the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Justice Unfiltered. Unfiltered, informed, and unbiased.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
Convenience is defined as the state of being able to proceed with something with little effort or difficulty. At RBM of Atlanta, we embody this definition. Convenience is our middle name. With back to school in full swing and after school activities taking over all your available time, now more than ever, convenience is a must-have. Meet our Mercedes-Benz pickup and delivery service. It gives you back time and money. Does your Mercedes-Benz need service? If so, we'll pick up your vehicle that's requiring service from your home or office and bring it back to our dealership for those services. Once the services have been complete, we'll bring your Mercedes-Benz back to you. With over 110 appointments available every weekday, over 50 appointments on Saturdays, and more than 200 courtesy vehicles in our fleet, we're here to serve. RBM of Atlanta is a J.D. Power 2025 Diamond Dealer of Excellence for the customer sales experience. We're proud to be Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964. Pickup and delivery service restrictions do apply. Ask your service coordinator or service advisor at RBM of Atlanta for details.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. We basically bought our house from our in-laws. It was my wife's childhood home. One of the issues that we've had when we first moved in was our dog in our backyard. It was extremely shaded, could never grow grass back there. We resodded it twice. So ATL Turf Co. did an amazing job with our backyard transformation. They basically created a miniature golf hole. We have a miniature fairway. We also have a miniature little putting green. Consists of about 4 holes, total about 40 yards, so you can definitely work on your short game and your putting. After that transformation that ATL Turf Co. did for us, my father-in-law came and saw his house the way it looked after the fact of we had a putting green and a miniature golf course. Sure enough, he did the same thing with ATL Turf Co. He has a beautiful backyard, wonderful stonework, drainage, and a beautiful practice area for chipping and putting. Check him out online at atlturfco.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Friday, August 15th. The Atlanta Track Club announced 100% of the registration proceeds from this year's Atlanta Finest 5K race will be donated to the family of DeKalb County Police Officer David Rose. He was the officer killed in the shooting at the CDC last Friday. Rose leaves behind a wife and 2 children, with a third expected later this year. The race will take place tomorrow at Pemberton Place. A new LendingTree study finds Georgia ranks second in the country for credit card identity theft, showing a 22% increase in just 1 year. LendingTree says Georgia's booming population and strong business growth make it an attractive target for criminals. Poison control centers nationwide are reporting a sharp increase in calls involving children who have accidentally consumed marijuana edibles, and Georgia is no exception. Dr. Gaylord Lopez, director of the Georgia Poison Center, says his team has already handled more edible-related calls this year than in all of last year, despite it only being August. Lopez urges adults who use edibles to store them securely. Today's weather partly cloudy and temperatures in the low 90s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
The 8 o'clock hour brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert, 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is their website. Joined by U.S. Representative Barry Loudermilk, who represents the area that we sit in, Los and I, at Dickey Broadcasting here at the Battery, Atlanta. It goes all the way up, a little north of Calhoun, and runs all the way down to kind of Sandy Springs, Smyrna area. And so 11th District. Thank you for taking the time, Mr. Loudermilk, for joining us this morning. Thank you.
Man, it's good to be with you.
Yes, sir. Want to start out with your book because I'm a Navy veteran. You're an Air Force veteran. I'm a guy that my faith is important to me. Your book is called And Then They Prayed. It's about American exceptionalism, the greatness of America, but people who actually took the time to pray for our country, which right now is a good time to start if you don't already.
Exactly, yeah. Look, my dad is a World War II veteran. He was a medic, was in on the D-Day invasion, Battle of the Bulge, just an incredible human being and one of the wisest people I'd ever met. And I was fortunate to grow up with a dad being a World War II veteran, where most of my friends, it was their grandfathers, but I was a latecomer. So I grew up spending a lot of time with him and hearing not only stories from World War II, but incredible stories of divine providence throughout our history. And our founders talked about very extensively about divine acts of providence, especially during the founding era and our War for Independence. Benjamin Franklin spoke about acts of divine providence at the Constitutional Convention. George Washington, his first act as president, was to hold a national day of thanksgiving and prayer, recognizing and thanking God for all those acts of divine providence. And there's a lot of books that have been written about those acts of providence that were recorded during the founding era. But I couldn't find any about acts of providence that happened throughout the entirety of our history. And so that's why I wanted to publish this book. We got over 10 years of research. These are true, factual stories. And it's not just written as documenting them, but more as if you were at Valley Forge with George Washington, seeing things as he would see them. We go all the way from the 1764 all the way up into the 20th century. In fact, as I was the first pre-release copy, we released the book on July the 4th this year in preparation for the 250th anniversary of our country that'll be coming up July 4th next year. And so the first pre-release copy I gave was to President Trump. I was having a meeting with him in the Oval Office, just he and I and some of his staff. And I took the first copy of the book, that pre-release copy, and I gave it to him. And I told him as I was handing him the book, and I had inscribed on the inside, for someone who has also experienced an act of divine providence. And so when I told him what the book was about, and I said, I know that you have experienced that, he immediately pointed to his ear, and he said, if God hadn't told me to turn my head at that exact moment, I wouldn't be here today. And he's talking about the assassination attempt on July 13th. So the book goes back and it chronicles 14 stories throughout America's history that have been impacted by prayer.
Representative Barry Loudermilk. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to recap real quick.
And it's not just the prayer, but the incredible men and women who stood in the face of danger. They planned, they worked, and then they prayed, and that's what made the difference.
Representative Barry Loudermilk is our guest. The book is And Then They Prayed, Moments in American History Impacted by Prayer. And I'm glad that I was just kind of, reading some of the book notes, talking about the Battle of the Bulge, as you said, that your father was in. My grandfather was in as well. And when I was growing up, he talked about being behind German lines and having to lay in a ditch while they heard Germans, run past their area, trying to work their way back to the lines. And as you point out in the book, you've got tremendous cloud cover. You have air superiority that can't be used, and then suddenly it cleared out. And suddenly the German offensive driving towards Antwerp was over with. And so you wonder about that power of prayer that got so many of those servicemen out of what was a predicament that probably would have ended the war had they been able to split the Allies.
Exactly. And in light of this providence, it was amazing that the prayer that was prayed was actually ordered by George Patton 2 weeks before. No one even knew that the attack of the Battle of the Bulge was going to happen, but he was frustrated because he's in France. He's ready to go into Berlin and take over the whole country. I mean, George Patton, he's motivated, and he was frustrated because of the rains in France, which were snows in the Ardennes. And so he ordered his chaplain to write a prayer for all the men in the Third Army to pray. And then he goes into this monologue teaching his chaplain about the power of prayer. It's absolutely amazing speech, which we have in the book. And he talks about, and this is where the title of the book is, the inspiration comes, as he says, look, men get their victories, what they achieve by three things: planning, working, and prayer. He says planning is the extensive planning we do before a battle. The working is the training and the men who actually execute it. But then there is this void between those two things and whether you experience victory or defeat. And that void is prayer. Prayer is what makes the difference. And so right after the Battle of the Bulge, right after Bastogne and St. Vith were surrounded, Patton was given orders to go relieve Bastogne. But as you said, they were surrounded. It was merely days before Bastogne was going to fall, and we couldn't get the Air Force in the Army Air Corps at the time. And so it just ironically, these prayer cards, 250,000 prayer cards that George Patton ordered to be printed, arrived in the Third Army as they were moving toward Bastogne. And within about 24 hours, the skies suddenly cleared. And, it's just, and Patton totally gave credit for that miracle being the prayers that were prayed by the Third Army.
Gosh. Such an incredible story. It makes the hair on the back of my neck.
It's just wonderful. A mix of that history with this.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely right. I hope you'll go out and get a copy. And Then They Prayed, Barry Loudermilk, the representative, District 11, which sits here where the Battery Atlanta is, our guest on the show. And I'm blown away by it. I can't wait to read it. But I want to ask you about another encounter you had with Donald Trump. You said he calls you into his office to ask you about the January 6th report that you'd been working on for quite some time. What was his question to you?
Why aren't we continuing this investigation? That was the bulk of it. He and I had a conversation on New Year's Eve, and it was brief. I mean, he was, as you can imagine, he was extremely appreciative and excited about the previous 2 years of investigative work we had done, and we had totally uncovered irrefutable evidence that the Pelosi Select Committee on January 6th basically made up this narrative and was trying to put all the blame for what happened on Donald Trump's shoulders, regardless of what evidence they uncovered. That's what they were going to do. And we brought through an extensive amount of investigation. I mean, we spent 2 years trying to find all these documents that mysteriously disappeared. And as we found them, we found out every one of them showed the exact opposite. I mean, I'll give you an example. Nancy Pelosi just kept saying over and over and over again, Donald Trump refused to send the National Guard to help. That was the mantra. She's still saying it. Just a couple of weeks ago, she was still talking about that Donald Trump refused to send the National Guard. Well, the truth is, he can't send the National Guard. It has to be requested by Congress because of separation of powers. Well, we found out there had been about 7 requests. Chief of Police, the Chief of Capitol Police, Stephen Sund, who has they have tried to ruin his life over this, but they tried to lay blame for him. Pelosi fired him immediately after, and he's become one of our key witnesses. He had made 7 requests prior to the breach of the Capitol for National Guard support. And those were all turned down by Pelosi or her staff. But in our investigation, we found documents, the Department of Defense documents, where on January the 3rd, 3 days before Trump had delegated the authority to call out the National Guard to the Department of Defense, he told General Milley, look, there's going to be a lot of people here, and you may need as many as 10,000 troops to make sure everyone is safe. That was what he told them, and he delegated that authority. But the 2 reasons the National Guard was not there to help, one is Nancy Pelosi refused to call them out until there was shots fired in the Capitol, and that's when she made the decision, bring them on. But then there was a 3.5-hour delay before they were actually deployed. And the Select Committee on January 6th said, well, the National Guard wasn't ready, which wasn't true. The National Guard was in the riot gear at their armory ready to go. But the Pentagon is what we uncovered. The Pentagon purposefully delayed them until after the violence had stopped. And these are the types of things that when we started uncovering this and showing the evidence of it, it turned the narrative on the Democrats' campaign. They were going to totally campaign in 2020 or 2022 or 24 rather for the presidential election. Their entire 2024 campaign was going to be on January 6th. And the evidence we uncovered and the 2 reports that we had issued totally stripped that out from under them. So the president was extremely appreciative of what we had done, and we did it from a complete unbiased way. I mean, I did not want this to be politicized at all, just to get to the truth. And so he wanted that to continue. But here we are. It was, it's August, and they have not reestablished my committee. However, when we get back in September, that committee is going to be reestablished. The legislation's already in. I've already got the commitment from the leadership that we're going to do this. In fact, my staff is already working on the investigation now. So we should be coming out with a lot more reports a whole lot faster than we did last time because we have a friendly administration who wants to work with us to get to the truth.
Representative Barry Loudermilk is our guest, and let's talk about narratives, because that was going to be the narrative that was going to be used in 2024 by the Democrats. I remember listening to Kash Patel, director of the FBI, bring up that as recently as 48 hours before January 6th occurred, that was one of the last requests for support, and that was once again rejected. I believe that a lot of this comes down to taking one of the biggest Democrat narratives and turning this into, this felt like you guys wanted this to happen.
And that's the thing is I've been trying to get away from. I don't think that they planned it, but they sure did take advantage of it. And there's a couple of pieces of evidence of this that we have. We knew that Nancy Pelosi's daughter, who was working with HBO, was embedded with her during this time frame, and they were videoing her, basically following her everywhere. So I sent a letter to HBO, fully thinking I was going to have to subpoena them for all the raw footage. But I just sent a letter to them and saying that, I would like to have all your raw footage that was taken, and they sent it to us. And one of the first things we uncovered was they videoed Nancy Pelosi as she was being evacuated from the Capitol to the safe, to the bunker where the leadership was going to be kept. And she, in the car, said, "This is my fault. This is my fault. The fall of the Capitol, the breach of the Capitol," she says then, "is my fault." But by the end of the day, she's blaming Donald Trump for it. And so definitely they saw a political advantage there. And the other thing is, Cassidy Hutchinson, she's the young lady who went on TV, and they're one of their publicized, highly publicized, and professionally produced.
Yeah, professionally produced. That's exactly
all the things she saw.
Yeah, all right.
Well, let me tell you about these production. From some of the documents that we were able to obtain from the old committee, we found their transcripts, their manuscripts, their literal scripts of what they were going to say and when they were going to say it. So it was totally manufactured. But they brought her on within days of a private meeting between her and Liz Cheney, where apparently she came up with all these stories about Donald Trump trying to take control of the steering wheel of the beast and wanted to go to the Capitol and all this. And so what I would do as an investigator is, as soon as somebody made especially an outlandish statement like that, the first call I would make would be to the Secret Service agent who was driving the car and call him in for a testimony. They did that, but they waited until after the midterm elections of 2022 to call him in because they knew what he was going to say.
It is.
And so he, I mean, this is months. She testified in June. They don't call him in until November after the 2022 midterm elections. And during their interview with him, they never asked him about the incident. He had to inject it himself, and they tried to stop him from even saying anything about it. And basically he said, that never, ever happened. So, yes, there was a political narrative in all this.
Goodness. I tell you, Congressman, we appreciate your time and hope to have you back in the studio one day very soon, or at a minimum on a phone call again, because there's so much to January 6th that this listening audience wants to get to the bottom of.
And what's going on in D.C. as of right now.
Absolutely. And how it's all connected. I just feel like D.C. is the dirtiest, filthiest place on earth, and it's hard to trust, but I'm glad that there's somebody there like you that I feel like is doing things for the right reasons. And we appreciate your time today and hope to have you back again real soon. Make sure folks check out the book, Los. You got it pulled up over there.
And then they prayed. Moments in American History Impacted by Prayer. You can go through Amazon, go through any of the booksellers. You can find it through there. Again, just came out July 4th of 2025.
It's going to be a good book. Make sure, especially with somebody that loves America like we certainly do on this show, will absolutely love this book, and I hope you'll get it in their hands. Congressman Loudermilk, until we get to speak again, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate the time.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Man, there's so much there. There's so much that
it's
we
like
could
a
talk
treasure trove of what to get into first.
The January 6th stuff is the stuff that I think is the most valuable thing that he's a part of. I really do.
Well, the more that they look into it, the investigators in these committees, just as he said, he's not telling you they created it, but they wanted to take advantage of it. And it feels like it was Frankenstein's monster.
Certainly does.
Like they didn't mind that it was occurring. They knew what it would look like. They knew what was going on. And then they turned it into, this is a perfect opportunity to go after Trump supporters and anyone who questions that the most statistically impossible election in American history was valid. We can get them to shut up.
Don't you dare
question what we were doing.
Do not dare do it.
It's the safest what was it? The fairest and safest election. That was what they were.
That's what they ran with.
As I'm sitting there watching this on television, I'm just shaking my head going, well, the talking points are out. Yeah. Everyone's supposed to say the fairest and safest elections.
And everybody woke up the next day with their jaw on the table, couldn't believe that election happened the way it did, knowing what was going on when you went to bed. When we continue on Extra 106.3, there's plenty more of this that we can discuss with about Congressman Loudermilk and what he's part of. But also John Kennedy. He said the Dems could fix their problems easily by doing something you probably do every day. Next on Extra.
The Morning Extra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3 FM.
Hey, it's Los. Let's talk about Honest Car Guy, honestcarguy.com. And what's the honesty fee? I mean, what is it? Is it a line item on a piece of paper? No, this is what Tom charges you for getting this work done for you. All right, let's start off with that. Tom basically tells you make and model. As the Honest Car Guy, he's like, make and model, what do you want? 1960 to 2025, 2026. He's like, if it exists, I'll find it for you. Tom will then basically, he can do this with you right over the computer. It's fully transparent. You can spend 15 minutes on this or 3 hours, whatever you feel like. Tom is like, what's comfortable for you? Tom will show you where this vehicle is anywhere in the country, hopefully in our own backyard, but he'll find it for you. And at that point, he's going to tell you, here's the price. Here's what it's going to cost for us to get a hold of this vehicle. And at that point, that's your fee. Plus the Honest Car Guy fee, the honesty fee. That's it. That's all. You're not going to have to worry about any of the dock charges. You're not going to have to worry about when they tell you like, well, we had to tint the windows, but the windows aren't tinted. Why is there an extra $1,000 on here? Oh, well, we had to do the undercarriage treatment. Well, hold on a second. This thing hasn't been up north. It's been in Florida. Why am I doing this? Those are the ways that dealerships end up adding up all the fees to enhance the amount of money that they're going to make. That's not the case with Tom and Honest Car Guy. What you're going to get is, here's the price, here's what I paid, here's what you're paying, plus the honesty fee. That's it. That's all. That's the way it works. All you got to do, go to honestcarguy.com. That's honestcarguy.com, or give them a call, 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME1.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, August 15th. The Atlanta Braves end up taking 2 of 3 from the struggling New York Mets in New York, concluding the series last night with a 4-3 win. Second baseman Ozzie Albies with a 3 RBI night. The team now moves on to Cleveland to play the Indy Guardians for a 3-game weekend series. It'll be Hurston Waldrop on the mound against Joey Cantillo. First pitch is set for 7:10. You can hear that game live on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. From the NFL, the Falcons play preseason game number 2 tonight at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as they host the Tennessee Titans and number 1 overall draft pick quarterback Cam Ward. That kickoff is set for 7 o'clock. With your sports updates, I'm Carlos Medina.
A company that has been trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years has already done their hometown homework, like having the very best people, fair, honest pricing, exceptional customer service, and a focus on high-quality work. That's us. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Sometimes new isn't better, like out-of-town home improvement companies invading Atlanta with their inflated pricing and subpar work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.
Social Security was never meant to be the sole source of income in retirement. So, Coach Pete, why is it so important to have another guaranteed source of income?
Because then you're in control. If you're depending on Social Security only, that's going to be a difficult decision. I mean, how are you going to manage that? I mean, it's not going to be fun. It's all about control. The more money you have put aside for retirement, the more control you're going to have about your fun in retirement. And to me, why retire if you're not going to have fun? Make sure you have that Coach Pete's Power Plan. There's 22 steps behind the scenes, and we're going to offer this. We've seen others charge over $1,000 for plans like this. Coach Pete's Power Plan, which is a total retirement plan, which will feature lifetime income you can't outlive, ways to pay for long-term care without having a long-term care policy. Very big one, by the way. I've taken everything that we talk about, I've taken advantage of myself.
A no-cost, no-obligation comprehensive review with Coach Pete's local trusted advisor, Craig Chandler, Chandler Wealth Management. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 3 men.
And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffers from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. We provide testosterone replacement therapy, the P-shot, and treatment for ED, PE, and Peyronie's disease. There's not just one therapy that can solve these complex issues. When you visit our clinic, you're going to see me. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. 404-777-1911. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. 404-777-1911. Online at tbtofga.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Extra 1063. We're at XTRA 1063 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Extra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Extra 1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
It's going to sound nuts, but it's the absolute truth. I'd put my hand on the good book when I explain this to you.
Is this when you're going to burn?
Yeah, no.
Remember when you told that lie when you said you put the hand on the good book?
No, not at all. No, this is the God's honest truth. My wife is so anti-app on her phone. She just don't like apps on her phone. She doesn't participate in social media, none of that stuff. So, I mean, her phone has so few apps on it, it's unreal.
Which is sad.
She just doesn't like it. It clutters her phone. She doesn't like it. I get an email because she logs into to Amazon through the website, orders through the website. I'm like, it'd be so much easier if you just open the app. Nope, don't want to do that. Okay, fine. I just know how many times she logs into Amazon because I get an email. Every time someone's logged into your account. Is this you? You know, they give you that.
Right.
It happens multiple times a day, sometimes up to 9 or 10 times a day.
You would think she'd be better if she knew I'm being tracked.
Yeah, right.
By my husband.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
If she just had the app, then there would be nothing there.
There would be no reason for the email because you're logged into the app. But she does it daily. I don't know how many times it happens at your house. How many times do you log into Amazon a day?
Probably once a day.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, I would say once every other day. Like now that you've brought it up, now it's like crack. I'm like, do I need it again?
Yeah, right. Dude, we do it a lot.
Oftentimes, because there's so much stuff that we get for the girls that it's a matter of when it's coming in.
Right, exactly. It's all about timing.
Always that sort of stuff.
Exactly right. I would have never thought that you could get some of the things that Senator Kennedy would have said that was available. And he said it would fix the Democrat Party if they just went to Amazon.
I love this. So this is going to be the second time this week that I reference Ricky Bobby, Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. So we were joking around about a couple of little funny things in that movie, and there's a scene where he's talking to the owner of the race team, Dennett Racing, and he tells him, with all due respect, sir, and then he says what he tells him.
Right.
And his boss goes, you're not allowed to say that to me. He's like, yeah, I can. I said, with all due respect, it's in the Geneva Convention.
It's covered.
He goes, it's in the Geneva Convention. I can bring that up.
That's right.
So I want you to listen to John Kennedy. He's senator from Louisiana. And he starts talking about Hakeem Jeffries. And he's talking about Chuck Schumer. And he's being respectful. But I want you to hear how he finishes this.
The mainstream wing of the party is scared to death of the loon wing. They won't speak up. And they don't stand for anything anymore. All they stand for is whatever is against whatever President Trump stands for. That's why we find ourselves themselves in the extraordinary position of mainstream Democrats have now come out firmly and passionately in favor of crime in Washington, D.C. Why? Because Trump is trying to do something about it.
Chucky Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, they are, quote, minority leaders in name only. They'll never stand up to that wing, will they?
No, but they could. And I don't mean any disrespect. I don't know Mr. Jeffries that well. I know Senator Schumer very well. So I say this with respect. Chuck and Hakeem need to go to Amazon, buy some testicles, and stand up to the loon wing of their party.
That's all it takes.
With all due respect.
That's right.
You'd buy some testicles and stand up to your party.
Who knew you could get them at Amazon? I go there daily. My wife goes there 100 times a day. Who knew you could buy that there?
What a national treasure. He's good for one every few weeks.
That's right.
Where he just, I think, and he knows it. He's like, if I just tell it to you like this, then you know the people in Louisiana are like, that's why he's our guy.
That's my guy. That's right.
He just told them they need to buy themselves a pair of testicles.
And he ain't wrong.
He's not wrong.
Dude, those dudes, when they're talking about embracing communists, they're talking about...
well, Hakeem Jeffries wouldn't touch anything from Mamdani when he was asked about that. Every time they asked him about, is this going to become mainstream for the Democrats? What about the Mamdani is talking about when it comes to free health care and free buses and rent-controlled apartments? Is this going to be part of... And every time Hakeem Jeffries would just go to...
sidestep it.
Well, you know, Donald Trump's poll numbers.
That's right. Absolutely. But if he had the courage, as the senator is suggesting, he would stand up to his party who is embracing him openly. Elizabeth Warren? Are you kidding me? Elizabeth Warren is out there saying, yes, this is exactly what we need to make America a better place, to make America great again, I guess you could say. She's talking about embracing communism. That's what she thinks is going to help America. Please, give me a break.
It's a terrific idea. Something you won't ever do in your own district. Good luck.
That's nuts. I love him.
We're gonna have this moment in the history of this country where we're gonna watch perhaps our greatest American city fall into like the disrepair of the 1980s, and we're all gonna be looking at it and saying, I told you. This happens everywhere when this is done.
80% of the country is going to say, I told you. If not more. Everybody knows. This is not
We're running out of money and jobs and businesses here in New York. How did that happen? Communism. What is my shirt going to say?
Yeah.
If it's too good to be true, it's probably
communism. We're going to get them printed up, man. We need Los, you need a logo. You need a logo, so you have a logo on the sleeves.
That's right.
I love it. If it's too good to be true, it's communism. When we continue on Xtra 106.3, we've made the case that the Dems are the pro-crime party. Now I want you to listen to them make the case to you as well. Next on Xtra.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
Well, we know the bias is out there. It's in the media. It's in much of corporate America. Certainly, it's out there in the world of information technology. How is that bias put into practice? Well, here's an example I never thought about, and maybe you haven't either. Both Republicans and Democrats send out emails targeting voters and citizens for donations. You have a fundraising group called Act Blue, obviously Democrats. Another one, Win Red, obviously Republicans. There are others, and you may get an email from them, or maybe not, soliciting donations. Now, the Republican National Committee filed a lawsuit a couple of years ago alleging bias in email filtering. That was last year. A federal judge threw the lawsuit out. In 2023, the Federal Election Commission dismissed a Republican National Committee complaint about the spam filters in Gmail. Okay, let me cut to the chase. Here is how it works. Google has been particularly blatant at this. When Google recognizes an email sent soliciting donations to a Republican cause, the Google email filter may warn you that this email might contain spam so that you don't click on it. Or it just might send the email directly to your spam filter. Democrat emails, not so much. Study a few years ago from the North Carolina State University found that these email providers would flag Republican emails as being suspicious 60% more times than Democrat emails. The Federal Election Commission is looking at this right now. Do you think any enforcement action is going to be taken? Yeah, neither do I. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Calling all contractors. This is Devin Stovall, Stovall & Company, and we're here for you. We're a third-generation, family-owned and operated company for 75 years and just opened our 11th location in Canton on 9500 Union Hill Road. We're proud to provide your wholesale irrigation, nursery, and landscape supply needs. How do you envision your dream outdoor space for you or your customers? We're here to fulfill them all. We all take pride in special requests and shipping right to your job site. Here at Stovall, we have it all. Check us out at StovallINC.com.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. That is, until they meet the Warrior Alliance. The Warrior Alliance goes the extra mile to reach veterans in their communities so they do not have to take this journey alone. With over 40 partners across 10 service areas, your donation goes a long way toward achieving maximum impact for a veteran and their family. Go to thewarrioralliance.org to donate today and commit to helping the Warrior Alliance change thousands of lives for the better.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Fox News alert. President Trump is in the air on his way to Alaska. I'm Dave Anthony for his meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, warning of severe consequences if there's no progress stopping the war in Ukraine.
I'm not doing this for my health, okay? I don't need it. I'd like to focus on our country, but I'm doing this to save a lot of lives.
The president just talked to reporters on Air Force One, and Fox's Jared Halpern asked him...
The number of business people that President Putin is bringing along, is that something that you want to discuss with President Putin at this meeting?
Yeah, if we make progress, I would discuss it, because that's one of the things that they would like. They'd like to get a piece of what I built in terms of the economy.
Well, the president is hoping today's talks lead to a second Putin summit that would include Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky. And listen to this from Fox's Peter Ducey, who's already in Anchorage for this summit.
A podcast that Jessica Tarlov just did, where Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, says that if President Trump can figure out how to end the war and have Ukraine not give away substantial amounts of territory to the aggressors, Russia, that she would nominate President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize.
There may be a Trump-Putin joint news conference at the end of their summit later today. National Guard troops and federal agents keep patrolling Washington, D.C., and now...
U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency Chief Terry Cole will now be the commissioner of the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under President Trump's emergency order responding to ongoing crime in the city.
But Fox's Evan Brown also reports Cole is not getting a warm welcome.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and her city attorney are pushing back, saying it is unlawful for the federal government to appoint a commissioner.
Now, the D.C. Attorney General has filed a lawsuit saying President Trump has gone too far and is reaching beyond his power under the law with the Washington takeover. America's listening to Fox News.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything, but while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Does your friend listen to an old station whose news gives them the blues? Set your friend right. Tell him to download the Extra 106.3 app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. Joined by a friend of the show, guy that comes in and brings legal knowledge to you and I. And he also is now co-host of the MK True Crime Podcast. Phil Holloway, our guest this morning. How are you, man?
I'm doing wonderful, guys. I hope you are.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you.
It's Friday.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, we're in good. We're in the last hour on a Friday. Phil, a lot of things get a little bit haywire, but with you here, we're going to mind our P's and Q's. We're going to be very responsible. See how it goes.
That way we don't have to use your services.
Just be yourselves. Be yourselves.
Well, the 9 o'clock hour goes off the rails on the crazy train, so you just never know what.
I came at the right time.
Yes,
yes, you did.
Yeah. Getting connected with Megyn Kelly is pretty cool, man. How did that all come about? Before we get into the politics of D.C. and
if you want to just tell us, like, I'm just so good at what I do that even Megyn Kelly would reach out to me.
I wish that were the answer. So I got connected. I do a lot of radio with Andrew Wilkow on Sirius XM radio, and so she's Sirius XM, and so the producers know each other, and so I think somebody made a suggestion when we were talking about the Fonnie Willis fiasco here in Atlanta. They said, "Hey, Phil's pretty plugged in on this. Maybe you want to have him on." And so then I started being a guest on her regular show, and and then I became a regular guest, and so it's just one of those things. And then she came out with MK Media, which is her own media company, and under that umbrella, she's adding new and different content with different talent, with different hosts. So every couple of months or a month or so, there's like a new video podcast that they've been dropping and that are doing very well. And so the latest thing is this MK True Crime, which is, we're calling it a channel, but it's really more than that, because you can watch it on YouTube, but it's also everywhere you get your podcasts. Brand new one just dropped about an hour and a half ago at 7:30 this morning, and so what I think is going to happen, like, we're 2 days a week now, and also with some special coverage of live trials and things like that. But I think you're going to see some of the other days start to fill up with additional shows that are in the true crime vein. And Megyn's a lawyer. She's been interested in this, I think, her whole life. And so it's just something she's always wanted to do. But now, through her MK Media company, she has a sort of a platform to get it done.
So is this a chance to talk about things in real time, or are you going back into previous? Because my mom is a big consumer of true crime podcasts, but her one complaint has always been it's hard to find analysis of current day stuff that's going on. It's stuff that she's watching a trial right now. She'd love to get that sort of analyst.
Yeah, and we are doing mostly current things. Right. In fact, we're getting ready to get into the Donna Adelson trial down in Tallahassee, where she's the matriarch of the Adelson. We're calling it the crime family, and it's I think that's a true assessment, because most of, like, her son was convicted. It involves the murder of her son-in-law back in 2014. He was an FSU law professor, gunned down execution style in his garage in the midst of a nasty custody battle with his ex-wife. And so lots of convictions have happened, and they're just basically now getting around to trying to wrap up the mother-in-law as being the matriarch of it all. So that's a very interesting thing. Okay. We're talking about Koberger and all the other things that have been in the news lately.
Apparently that dude's not being welcomed into prison.
No, they're look, I posted this on X the other day. It's not, it's punishment for a reason. Well, they're jeering at him through the vents.
People being held accountable is not anything that Americans are used to in I don't know, the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
On top of being taunted relentlessly through the air vents 24/7 by the other inmates, he says he's going crazy. He's being denied his vegan food, guys. Can you believe it?
Oh, well, that would hurt me. But again, if I was to ever be in the unfortunate situation of finding myself in prison, the last thing I'm really thinking of is, well, my veganism gets to be held up here by the state. Not a problem.
But isn't that something people do just to, I got to have something to get some attention. Somebody's got to pay attention to me. That will at least spark.
I know Phil might have that expertise in that.
I've never been in prison, but I can only imagine that if you're just staring at the walls, your brain has to figure out some way to occupy itself. So maybe ruminating over your diet is something to do.
And I would say he's already crazy. Like, this can't drive him crazy. He's already crazy. You killed 4 people.
Oh, have you heard the latest? Like, it was released this week that, you know, he was on the phone with his mother like all the time. It's almost kind of like Norman Bates kind of obsession. He calls her mother.
It was strange.
But he was apparently on the phone with his mother right after the killings, and then again when he drove back to the crime scene later the same day, was on the phone with his mother for like 30 or 40, 50 minutes, like while he was there watching the police response.
Freaking nuts. Yeah. Like I said, you can't go crazy if you're already crazy. So much craziness in the world and certainly in our nation's capital. I've found it fascinating, and I think Los would agree with this, that we've found it fascinating how on social media the left is melting down. The Democrats are melting down. In private, Joe Scarborough said it himself. They're all calling me saying, I'm so glad Donald Trump did this. Is that not the most telling thing about the Democrats? They're so stuck in the resistance that they can't even do anything that's beneficial to themselves without complaining about it.
I think that they are all under instructions to never, ever give Trump credit for anything.
Sure.
Even when he does great things, you've got to complain about it publicly. You know, it's the Trump derangement syndrome. It's the reflective knee-jerk reaction. If Donald Trump did it, it's bad. Donald Trump could, he could
cure cancer
tomorrow. Well, I thought, wait a minute, Joe Biden didn't cure cancer?
Oh,
you're right.
The moonshot that was going to occur.
You're right.
Anyway, so he could cure cancer and any other, and then they would complain about it, right? Because it came from Donald Trump. But here in Washington D.C., and I don't know if you guys have been there recently, and I have, it is, it's true that they have a serious crime problem, and they've been cooking the books on these crime statistics for quite some time. I've been in the criminal justice system almost 38 years or so now, and the dirty little secret about crime stat reporting is that it's always fake. It's always underreported. And the reason for that is you've got politicians and bureaucrats who want to artificially deflate their numbers so that it makes them look better. And for politicians, maybe it translates to votes. If you're the police chief or in the command staff at a major police department and your job is to do these, you want to keep your job, so you want to keep the mayor happy, and you say, hey, look, mayor, crime's down, we're doing such a great job. So it's the fox guarding the hen house when it comes to reporting crime statistics. And so we all can see with our eyes what's going on in D.C. Donald Trump, I guess he got fed up when one of the Doge staffers was severely beaten recently, and he said, I've had enough of it, and he's taking some action. But immediately what you saw was, I guess, the talking points memo went out from the DNC or wherever they get their talking points, because all of the leftists, you look at their Twitter feeds, like all were almost identical, and they were saying, but crime's down 30%, crime's down 30%. But it's not. They're spreading misinformation. It's information warfare. It's propaganda. And it's all because they can't give Trump credit for anything. So they're relying on fake crime statistics.
Phil Holloway is our guest. I was in D.C. about 5 or 6 months ago, and we were told flat out, you don't go out at night. And that's all you needed to know in the nation's capital, that, wait a minute, you don't go out at night? It's like, no, you don't go out at night. I hear the city's
beautiful at night.
Yeah, it's like, you don't go out at night. And I'm there with my wife and one of my daughters. We're there for a volleyball tournament. And when that was what was instructed, we actually had, where we were staying, and basically we had a casino about a mile away. And we were told, you don't walk there.
No.
And so that was the wild part for me, to where we've now seen this, and I wanted to bring this up with you. So there's the 3 phases of what now happens in the media. Yeah, the first one is always, no matter what Donald Trump says, he's wrong, he's racist, he's misogynistic, whatever it is. The second part is that, all right, there's an acceptance. And then the third part is, well, that was easy to do. Everybody knew that was. And I feel like the media has now hit the third part, which is, well, everyone knows there's a problem here. Donald Trump's doing the easy part.
Again, you can't give the man credit for doing anything. If when he's wrong, he's wrong. When he's right, he's wrong. He's always wrong. And, it was entirely appropriate in my view and legal. It was perfectly legal to bring in.
Explain that aspect of it, because the talking points turned into, well, he's taking over this community. It's like, no, that's not how it's working.
Well, they use this sensational language to describe everything that's inaccurate, just like ICE is disappearing and kidnapping people,
Right.
So they figure out what's going to resonate with the low information base, and they use those words. But look, D.C. has a home rule charter, and it was granted to them by Congress. Congress is literally ultimately in charge of Washington, D.C. They could take Pennsylvania Avenue and turn it into an ice skating rink if Congress decided to do that. That's just, they can do anything they want, as opposed to, say, in Atlanta or some other city that's part of a state. But this is a federal enclave, but they have granted the District of Columbia this home rule city charter. But built into that is language that said that the president has the authority legally to federalize the district as the president deems fit, and it's for 30 days, and it can be extended if Congress gives it the blessing to extend longer than 30 days. So it's perfectly legal. Now, I understand why the mayor up there doesn't like it, because first off, it makes her look bad. Of course, what does she do?
She left town
to the Hamptons, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, not the Hamptons. Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, they always go to Martha's Vineyard. But yeah, so it's perfectly legal. And when I say it's justified, we can see with our own eyes, especially those of us like you and I who have been there in recent times. You can see that it needs to be done. It's just like all of these other major cities that are run by the Democrats and the left. You have a crime crisis in every one of them, but they won't admit it. They will never admit that we've got a crime problem. The crime problem here in Atlanta is really, really terrible.
It's legitimate.
It has been for a long. Look, the most dangerous place in Atlanta is a gas pump at any gas station. You're like, especially if you're downtown somewhere, you're likely to get shot.
You're a target.
Yeah,
you're a target for potential robbery.
Yeah, and talk about going past the 30 days, because Donald Trump has indicated that it seems like they're probably going to go past the 30 days or might need to go past the 30 days, which they'll have to get approval from Congress, as you mentioned. This is another 80-20 issue. This is going to be a winner for Donald Trump when he does need to do that, because the Democrats are going to put up a fight in a losing battle.
So this is going to require a resolution by the House and the Senate. And I think as far as the things that we've seen recently that they try to get through Congress, this one is probably not going to be that controversial among the slim Republican majority. Maybe one or two, but I don't think there would be a problem getting it through the House and the Senate to extend it another 30 days. And you can get a lot started in 30 days. You can't really finish what you're working on.
Which is what Trump said.
Yeah, he's gonna need another month or two to really make a significant dent, I think.
But I think with the short attention span, and Phil Holloway is our guest, if this turns around and within 3 weeks, even 2 weeks, we've even had people talking about now about how much safer the streets are of D.C., I think that puts a whole lot of pressure on every other Democrat-run city, including this one. If they're doing that there, why can't you clean up the streets here?
Well, and Trump's talked about wanting to, he's like, maybe we're going to do this in some of the other cities where crime is out of control. But of course, let's just say Atlanta, right, where we are. It's not this is not a federal jurisdiction. No. The city of Atlanta is a political subdivision of the state of Georgia.
And there's no active mob. There's no rioting that's going on. So his federal authority to be able to roll in troops does not exist.
No, but he does. There are plenty of federal assets, law enforcement assets here, and federal law enforcement can do law enforcement everywhere in the United States. Now,
but let me ask you that, Phil, just to drive in. So if I suddenly wanted to have 600 guardsmen on the streets of downtown and I don't have, let's say, active rioting, can you still pull that off?
Well, what you can do, you've got FBI here, you've got lots of ICE agents, you've got the ATF, you've got, look, every federal agency has their own cops. Even the Social Security Administration, they've got cops.
The IRS, remember we learned that the IRS has
they have IRS cops. There's plenty of federal law enforcement officers that it's not inconceivable that they can say, all right, put on your vest and some identifying gear. You don't really have uniforms, but get out there and patrol the streets, and just as a deterrent.
So it wouldn't be National Guard necessarily. It would just be the assets that you already have on the ground.
I think that's the starting piece, and how and if you could get National Guard involved. In this case, in Georgia, Trump would have a sympathetic governor, so it might be easier to do so. And, the governor could also say, look, even though we're not federalizing troops, the governor can say, all right, I'm going to support the president's mission, and we're going to send the troops out to be force multipliers. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just saying, theoretically, there are assets in place, federal law enforcement assets, all throughout the United States. Now, they're not going to go out there and write traffic tickets and enforce state law, but certainly there's a lot of crimes that happen that are simultaneously a state crime and a federal crime. Just think about if a shooting, for example, and you use a firearm that's traveled in interstate commerce, the ATF can probably get a hold of that. So it doesn't have to always go through the local court system. A lot of times they can go out there and be proactive and start making cases.
Fascinating conversation that will continue next on Extra 106.3 with Phil Holloway. On the Morning Extra, he's the co-host of MK True Crime Podcast, new podcast on Megyn Kelly's network. We will continue with Phil next 9 o'clock hours, brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999, 8779. SouthernExteriors.co is the website.
The Morning Extra has you covered until 10 a.m. Then it's Glenn Beck, Clay Travis, and Buck Sexton at noon, and The Kimmer Show taking over at 3, only on Extra 106.3.
Don't miss out as your Atlanta Braves face the White Sox and Mets August 18th through the 24th. Fans can look forward to 3 giveaways during the series, including the Spencer Strider vinyl record giveaway on August 19th, featuring music from some of Spencer's favorite bands, plus a post-game performance at the Battery Atlanta Green hosted by Spencer. And on Friday the 22nd, join us for a special alumni night presented by your local Ford dealer to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the 95 World Series Championship. Check out the pregame alumni parade down Battery Avenue, featuring fan favorites like Greg Maddux, Fred McGriff, Javi Lopez, and more. And then receive a 95 World Series replica ring presented by Coke. Then we keep the fun rolling on Saturday with the first annual hunting and fishing night, including some fun activities courtesy of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources in the Battery Atlanta, and a camo rope hat giveaway presented by Realtree. Get your tickets at braves.com/promos. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves country.
Hey, this is John Flading. I'm the president and owner of ATL Turf Co. We are family-owned, operated, independent local company. We have over 15 years of artificial grass design, installation, and sales experience. From premium artificial lawns and backyards, custom putting greens, sports fields, hardscape, drainage. We do both residential and commercial. If you can dream it, we can build it. Just go to atlturfco.com to schedule an appointment.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
Now, I know there are plenty of HVAC companies out there, but let me tell you why Central Heating and Air Conditioning stands out from the rest. These days, it's hard to tell who's on first. Everybody wants to play. Many of the local HVAC companies, though, have been sold to large conglomerates. And some are even coming back under new names. But at Central Heating and Air Conditioning, they never left the field. They've been your hometown team since 1947. And their dedication to our community has never wavered. They are the Grand Slam you can count on. Central's team of experts know the game inside and out, delivering dependable service and personalized solutions every time. So don't get caught off base. Choose the HVAC team that's always been in the game. Get Carrier products, Carrier warranty, and Carrier peace of mind. Turn to your Atlanta Carrier experts, Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Call them today, 770-GET-HEAT, or visit them online at centralheat.com.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
My
name is Patrick, and I'm the Military Outreach Manager at the Warrior Alliance. I served in the U.S. Army as an airborne ranger and deployed to several combat zones in support of the global war on terror. Veterans bring excellence through our work ethic, skills, and civic duty. However, transitioning to civilian life can be difficult, as we all share a loss of purpose when leaving the military. Returning veterans have earned and deserve our support so they can thrive on their journey home. The Warrior Alliance understands the challenge and is helping warriors navigate to success after service. Join us in changing thousands of lives for the better. Donate today at thewarrioralliance.org.
Back to school means back to traffic in Atlanta. If traffic mishaps land you in trouble with the law, it's important to know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds. We handle bonds from local to federal for any jail in any city. And in most cases, we can have you or your loved one out in a matter of hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. That's 404-BAIL-OUT. Or online at atlbail.com.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Friday, August 15th. The Atlanta Track Club announced 100% of the registration proceeds from this year's Atlanta Finest 5K race will be donated to the family of DeKalb County Police Officer David Rose. He was the officer killed in the shooting at the CDC last Friday. Rose leaves behind a wife and 2 children, with a third expected later this year. The race will take place tomorrow at Pemberton Place. A new LendingTree study finds Georgia ranks second in the country for credit card identity theft, showing a 22% increase in just 1 year. LendingTree says Georgia's booming population and strong business growth make it an attractive target for criminals. Poison control centers nationwide are reporting a sharp increase in calls involving children who have accidentally consumed marijuana edibles, and Georgia is no exception. Dr. Gaylord Lopez, director of the Georgia Poison Center, says his team has already handled more edible-related calls this year than in all of last year, despite it only being August. Lopez urges adults who use edibles to store them securely. Today's weather partly cloudy and temperatures in the low 90s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
Welcome back. It is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Tug and Los taking you until 10 o'clock. So, fortunately for you, you got about another 35 minutes left in the show. And then I don't know what you're going to do for the next 48 hours after that until you wait until we get back on Monday. But you've got to find something that'll fill your time. And speaking of filling your time, Phil Holloway is our guest. He is the co-host of MK True Crime. You can always check it on YouTube and obviously wherever you get your podcasts. And Phil, as one of the guys that we know is a absolute legal mastermind and expert in this stuff, one of the questions that we want to jump into is some of the information surrounding this Russian collusion case and what you now have the DOJ going after. And my question is this: if a federal grand jury ends up returning an indictment for any one of these people, Clapper, Comey, whoever it ends up being, what happens from there? Because for me, I feel like we're getting into uncharted territory.
Well, look, this whole thing is, in my opinion, it's if people really think about it, this is comparable to a modern day Watergate in terms of just how scandalous this was. I was talking to my friend James Rosen, who's with Newsmax up in Washington, D.C., and he's a Watergate historical expert. And we were talking about this just the other day, because what you've got is a sitting president, just like Richard Nixon was, and he is literally like sabotaging the next guy, intentionally kneecapping the incoming President Trump so that his agenda can't even get out of the starting gate because it's been shackled by this fake Trump-Russia hoax. And now what we're starting to see is the receipts. We've got, look, if Kamala had won, this would never have seen the light of day. Ever. But now we're seeing the receipts. We've got declassified documents going back to James Clapper's day, towards the end of the Obama administration, and he is responding to Admiral Mike Rogers, who was the director of the NSA at the time. Okay, and so the NSA was expressing some concerns because they were getting this pressure to revise and revisit and redo this intelligence community assessment to include, the claim that Russia had its thumb on the scale in favor of Donald Trump, and then there was the collusion and all that. And so Mike Rogers was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he's throwing up
he's like, hold on,
signs.
Lots of red flags. Like, our people, aren't really necessarily comfortable with this. And I'm summarizing, of course.
Yeah, but that's what he said. He said, if you don't give us time to look through this, we can't commit to it.
For them, from what the documents have been pointing out, it was a low to zero confidence assessment that they were looking to add to an official report.
Right. And so then James Clapper on December 22nd of 2016, as the Obama administration is packing up their stuff to get out, right, he goes on to say that, listen to this, in the highest tradition of that's our story and we're sticking to it, that they need to all get on board.
We're on the same page.
Yep. When you say that's my story and I'm sticking to it, we use that phrase because it's like, okay, we know that we're saying something that's not true, but we're going to stick to it anyway. And then he goes on to talk about, this is needs to be a team sport. And he talks about it in the terms of this is one project that has to be a team sport. Well, what is the project? It's not a project. A project is something that you do with some predetermined destination in mind. If your project is to build a radio show, then it's you're working towards that end result. If your goal is to just put out an objective document that simply lays out factual information, that's not really a project. That's just stating facts, right? You don't have an end goal in mind. And so I believe those emails that were released, and there's more coming.
Oh yeah,
and there's more out there.
They're dripping.
To me, that is certainly, if not direct, it's strong circumstantial evidence that there is a conspiracy and that it was something that was intentionally done to hurt the incoming administration. And whether it's treason or some other crime, I personally don't think it fits the legal definition of treason, but it's seditious conspiracy. I think it does fit, and I think that email indicates that there's a conspiracy. And the thing about conspiracies, they can go on for a long time. So even after Obama leaves office, if any of these people go out and talk on CNN or MSNBC or take any steps to conceal the conspiracy,
or raid a man's house,
it's anything that's done to conceal the existence of the conspiracy it continues the conspiracy, and therefore the statute of limitations. And you didn't ask me about presidential immunity, but I'm going to tell you what I think.
Well, hold on. Let me, before you jump into that, because I want, there's a lot of information. I want the audience to kind of digest this and kind of put a button on this part of it before we get into presidential immunity. Phil Holloway is our guest. Do I have to, if I'm able to prove conspiracy and say these are what these people were up to, is motive a factor at all? Like, do I have to say, here's what they're doing, or I just say, here's what they did?
Prosecutors never have to prove motive. I think we know what the motive was. It's pretty obvious, but motive is not something that has to be proven.
Good.
And the thing about conspiracies are, all right, let's say the three of us here, we decide that we're going to, I don't know, what crime... What crime do we want to commit?
Let's rob a bank.
All right, we're going to go rob a bank. I drive.
I'll be the stick-up man.
You're the stick-up man.
You handle the door.
Okay. He holds the door, and he acts as the lookout. So we all have different jobs. But let's just say when you go in as the stick-up man, you wound up shooting somebody and killing somebody. I didn't sign up for a murder. I signed up for a bank robbery. But, hey, it doesn't matter. In a conspiracy, it's the acts of one or the acts of all people. So I'm on the hook for the murder. We're all on the hook for the murder. And if we take some steps to conceal what we've done, the conspiracy is still in progress, right? So you could make the argument, and I think it's probably it's not much of a leap that the conspiracy is still going on today because they're still trying to cover it up.
It's a fascinating conversation because Los and I have been dialing in. If you listen to the show, you know how much we've talked about this and the fact that the conspiracy continued because they were afraid that Donald Trump had the Crossfire Hurricane documents at his house. That's the reason that they raided Mar-a-Lago.
I agree.
They wanted to get those back.
I agree, but I'm going to disagree with you that is going to be some overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. I think at the 10,000-foot level, I think it was, but that is insulated because a judge did give them probable cause and signed a search warrant based on probable cause, and so they're insulated.
I got you. So they have the out there. Even though it was probably connected, they have an out.
Yeah, I think it was connected, but I think that particular piece of it may not have been a criminal act in furtherance of the conspiracy because, and I could very well be wrong because we are in uncharted territory. And look, if it's not going to hurt my feelings if I'm wrong about this, but I think that the existence of a judicially executed or signed search warrant probably insulates them from that piece of it being a crime. But it certainly, I think, shows you how desperate they were to keep Trump from having access to the goods.
Phil Holloway is our guest. He's a co-host of the MK True Crime podcast. And all right, let's move into presidential immunity because this is a misnomer. I don't think people understand that the Supreme Court found that, yes, there is such a thing as presidential immunity, but they drew a difference between official and unofficial acts. But that lower courts would end up having determined that.
Yeah.
How do you think that ends up being a factor with this case?
So the Supreme Court, and this is kind of the way they do things when they come out with some new legal doctrine. It's not like they invented it. They recognized that it exists, and it always has existed, but they finally got around to...
They defined it somewhat.
They put on their special Supreme Court glasses when they read the Constitution. Oh, there it is with these glasses on. I can see it there in paragraph 3. But so presidential immunity, they said, yes, it does exist for presidential acts as opposed to personal acts. Now, we're going to send this back to the trial court to make factual findings based on evidentiary hearings as to whether the conduct at question was personal or presidential, or some things could possibly be both. And it never got that far, of course, because that case was dismissed. So all we have is this ruling that doesn't give us much other guidance on how to apply the doctrine of presidential immunity. So assuming that Barack Obama has presidential immunity for ordering this this fake intelligence assessment, he's no longer the president, and so he no longer enjoys presidential immunity. And if he's done anything to further the conspiracy, and by that I mean taking any actions or encouraging other people to take actions to hide the existence of the conspiracy, there ain't no immunity for that, guys.
Well, but let me then ask you this. Do you think the Trump administration, because you've heard Donald Trump even say Obama's probably got presidential immunity, do you think they're foregoing Obama, knowing that that's going to be more problematic? Let's go get the Hillarys, let's go get the Clappers, let's go get the Brennans.
Well, you'll forgive me if I don't take legal advice from Donald Trump.
Well,
he speaks off the cuff.
Yeah.
And
no, I get it, but it does make sense. Like even if we don't get Obama, if we get the rest of them, I think people that's the pound of flesh.
I think maybe going after an ex-president might be even a bridge too far.
Yeah. It was in 2024.
Yeah, right.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think that I'm sure Trump's had his advisors talking to him about all this, and someone has made the point that we were just talking about, that Obama may have some immunity for things. But I'm not going to assume that Donald Trump knows how conspiracies work and how Obama could still be involved in one. And if he is, that's a crime, and he's no longer president. So I just don't know how deeply he was briefed on presidential immunity. So, and again, theoretically, the president doesn't control the Department of Justice. Now, this particular administration, they're more hand in glove. They actually are more like the Obama administration, where
they had Eric Holder.
Eric Holder was the wingman.
Yeah.
And, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, people can decide for themselves. Some would say this should have a special counsel, and others say, well, we don't need a special counsel because it's all right here in black and white. We've got the receipts. And we've had a special counsel, Durham. What did he do, by the way? He looked at this for years, and then he just rode off into the sunset.
Yeah, nothing. He did nothing.
He had this information.
Yeah, he knew all this the entire time. But that seems criminal in and of itself. The fact that someone would investigate it like Durham did, as we talked to Phil Holloway, our guest, co-host of the MK True Crime podcast. a person like him that knew what was happening, now that we're finding out years later, it seems like he's guilty of not doing the right thing too.
Well, he was also reporting to the last attorney general. Okay, so that may have had something to do with it. He may have. He may have,
make it right.
For all I know, he personally wanted to, start prosecuting some people on this, but he couldn't. He did try to prosecute the lawyer for putting false information before the FISA court, but some of the prosecutions that they did try to bring were just kind of around the edges and not very meaningful. But what we have here, this new data dump by the DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, this is the smoking gun. This is the real conspiracy. This is not just some ancillary crimes around the edges. This goes to the heart of it. I believe that there's going to be some, I think there already is a federal grand jury looking at this. You got federal grand juries even looking at Letitia James and Adam Schiff now too. But the Department of Justice is serious. They're obviously taking this very seriously, and if Tulsi Gabbard is releasing these documents strategically as she is, one after the other, there's something bigger going on behind the scenes.
So let's say an indictment from a federal grand jury comes down, and let's say a John Brennan, former director of the CIA, who in so many of these documents is even other CIA officials have put it, who've come forward and said, this is not to our standard, yet this guy basically pushed us to put this Russian information out here. What happens from there if he's federally indicted on this? Well, then it's just going to, the short answer is it's just going to run through the court system just like everything else. But what I'm interested to see is, okay, which federal judge gets this? And we've seen lately that federal district court judges also can be infected by TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. Highly partisan, I guess is what I'd say.
And, so you're going to see efforts to get indictments quashed and things thrown out. And, it could drag on for quite some time. And honestly, this is the kind of case that could drag on into a new administration. And depending on who that new administration is, we've seen examples like Trump came in and killed the case against Eric Adams in New York. So a new administration could just dump it. So it needs to be done now, and it needs to be, if it's going to be done, it needs to be done soon and get significantly underway.
Do you get the impression with the speed they're moving and the amount of data they keep dropping that they're prepping everybody for something here?
I think so. I think they've got a list of folks that are targets. I feel like I'm safe in assuming that Clapper and Brennan,
maybe James Comey as well.
Comey's definitely, Comey, all the people copied on these emails are, they need to be lawyering up because a lot of these folks, Mike Rogers, the admiral who was head of the NSA, he's probably not a target because he seemed to be trying to do the right thing.
He did a CYA in that email.
That's exactly what it was.
He knew exactly what was happening, and he was. You want to hold it? Do we come back and get to?
Yeah, because I want to ask one additional question involving what we saw at the end of the Obama administration, an email that seemed really weird at the time that now suddenly makes a little bit more sense.
Next on Xtra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, August 15th. The Atlanta Braves end up taking 2 of 3 from the struggling New York Mets in New York, concluding the series last night with a 4-3 win. Second baseman Ozzie Albies with the 3 RBI night. The team now moves on to Cleveland to play the Indy Guardians for a 3-game weekend series. It'll be Hurston Waldrop on the mound against Joey Cantillo. First pitch is set for 7:10. You can hear that game live on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. From the NFL, the Falcons play preseason game number 2 tonight at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as they host the Tennessee Titans and number 1 overall draft pick quarterback Cam Ward. That kickoff is set for 7 o'clock. With your sports updates, I'm Carlos Medina.
Hey, Atlanta's Mark from the Safe House. I have a question for you. Am I the only person pissed off with the mainstream fake news, liberal judges,
and whiny liberal politicians
who don't realize why Donald Trump is president, and fake safes? And you may wonder, why fake safes? Well, a fake safe is like Joe Biden, cheap and ineffective. A real safe from the Atlanta Safe House is like Donald Trump, tough, effective, and provides peace of mind when you need it the most. So drop by Atlanta Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast and see what a real safe looks like. So go to atlantasafehouse.com.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Well, it's finally summer, and while you're enjoying the sun, your rain gutters might be quietly filling up with debris. Summer often brings heavy rainfall in many parts of the country, and if your gutters are clogged, water can overflow and lead to costly damage. In wildfire-prone areas, gutters can also trap dry, flammable debris, creating a fire hazard. We all know it's important to maintain our gutters, but I'm not going to get up on a ladder to do it myself. I'm a big fan of hiring a real professional to protect my home, and I trust Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter and gutter protection company. Right now, you can save 30% off your entire order. Just go to leaffilter.com/Glenn Beck. Leaf Filter's trusted pros will clean out, realign, and seal your gutters before installing Leaf Filter's award-winning and patented technology, trusted by over 1 million homeowners. Schedule your free inspection and get up to 30% off your entire purchase at leaffilter.com/Glenn Beck. That's leaffilter.com/Glenn Beck. See a representative for warranty detail.
Hey, it's Los. We're here with Tom Mitchell, the honest car guy. Tom, I'm looking for a reliable vehicle, something for the family, but also for my daughter who's going to be driving soon. Why should I call you?
The main thing is you get to see it's a full transparency sale. What I like to do is show you the whole gamut, show you everything that's out there and everything that's available. I can get any make, any year, any model.
Financing. If I need to use it, what can you offer?
We have some of the best banks available, and we got rates starting at 4.99 from a 23 model and above. It could be a 14 model. We still have banks that will do all the financing for you at good rates, and they're primary banks. If you have credit issues, we still have banks that can accommodate those issues as well.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
Securing America.
DC's Metropolitan Police Force now changing how it works in a limited order that allows officers who encounter illegal immigrants to now notify Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement for possible arrest and deportation. Officers may also provide transportation for federal agents and detained subjects, a departure from the department's previous policies that follow President Trump's takeover this week of DC's police force at the White House Thursday. The president called the change a
great step. That's a great step if they're doing that. I think there's going to happen all over the country. We want to stop crime.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has insisted that her city is not a sanctuary city, but the city has several pro-immigration policies on the books, including one that allows non-citizens to vote in local elections, and another that limits cooperation with federal immigration agencies. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Need a break from all the political talk? Tune into Holy Crap It's Sports with Pete Davis every weekday at 5:20 on The Kimmer Show. It's your daily dose of what's hot in the sports world, from the field to the locker room, with Pete's unfiltered opinion and a side of laughs. It's smart, it's funny, it's sports with edge. Holy Crap It's Sports. Catch it at 5:15 only on The Kimmer Show on Extra 106.3.
Our guest is Phil Holloway, co-host of the MK True Crime Podcast, and the 9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999, 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co.
So my question for Phil Holloway was this. On the way out, we talked about what had gone on with former NSA directors, and one of the other people that jumped out to me was Susan Rice. Susan Rice, who was an ambassador under Barack Obama, she helped kind of spin the whole story of what had gone on in Libya. And on the way out, she had an email, something along the lines of everything that was handled by the book. And we all went, well, what is that? And this was well before any of this Russian collusion stuff came out. It almost seems like on the way out, she made it a point, I'm going to send myself an email to say, my end was all handled the way it was. Because there seems like some other people that she had knowledge of that things weren't being handled by the book. At least I think she was using that to give herself cover.
She may have been, and
there you go.
Yeah, she may have been, but I tell you, Susan Rice, she may be in this thing neck deep. We don't know, but it's obvious from reading other emails that we have now seen that there are certainly more than a few people in the administration who may not have been on board with this. When they're talking about, making compromises as to how they gather intelligence and put it together and analyze it and make these reports, a lot of people weren't happy with it. I think a lot of people who may have been, on the left, but still had some integrity a little bit left and said, wait a minute, this is a bridge too far. We can't frame the incoming president using fake intelligence. That's just too much, right? So if she wrote herself a CYA email on the way out, then maybe that's some indication that, hey, maybe she's a cooperating witness.
Just like Admiral Rogers did.
And to bring this up, by the way, because I still have it, back in 2020, we thought this was in some sort of relationship to like Michael Flynn or somebody else. But this was a meeting between Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Susan Rice, and James Comey. That in the email she wrote, President Obama began the conversation by stressing his continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of this issue is handled by intelligence by the book. She made that point and said the president stressed that he is not asking about initiating or instructing anything from law enforcement perspective. He reiterated that our law enforcement team needs to proceed as it normally would by the book.
Yeah, but that contradicts what Clapper's saying.
Yes.
Right, in the email.
Directly contradicts.
Absolutely.
And by the way, Comey was also copied on that Clapper email.
And it said we're going to, we've got to move so fast that we're going to have to abandon our normal modality.
Sounds like she wrote an email to cover her butt.
Yeah, by abandoning the normal process, that's not by the book.
No, it's exactly opposite. Now let's talk about statute of limitations, because that keeps coming up. People are saying, hey, there's only a few days left. There's only a week left. If they're going to get this rolling, they've got to, because of is it a 5-year statute of limitations that they are addressing? Yeah,
there's a general 5-year statute of limitations for federal offenses. Some crimes have a little bit different, but what you have to do is you have to pick what conduct that you think is a crime, right? And then you got to track 5 years outward, and whenever you get to the calendar 5 years, then you can't go back and prosecute that specific event. Let's just say it's perjury before Congress, right? 5-year statute of limitations. Once it runs, it runs. But if you're the prosecutor, the DOJ, and you're going to approach this in the context of a conspiracy, like we were talking about in the last segment, then the conspiracy, if it's ongoing, then the statute of limitations keeps getting extended and extended and extended. And remember, let's say you've got 30 people involved in this general conspiracy. If one of them does anything, such as giving an interview denying all this, okay, that would be a specific act taken by a co-conspirator to conceal the existence of the conspiracy, and that applies to all people, okay? And so that extends the overall statute of limitations. So if they travel under a conspiracy theory or racketeering, RICO would be very interesting, wouldn't it, to have a RICO case out of this? But the statutes of limitation would be not really an issue because it would be extended. Yeah.
What are the chances of this when it comes to a grand jury convening that it's not in D.C., that it's in another establishment?
Look, they'd be foolish to do it in D.C. I'm hearing Florida could be a place because that's where the president lived in between his terms and still lives there now as far as his residence. And it's also where the Mar-a-Lago raid took place. And I think that Florida makes a lot more sense because you pull 25, 30 people off the street from D.C. and put them on a grand jury. Do you have any confidence that they're going to return an indictment? Mm-hmm. Or if you have 12 people from D.C. on a jury, you have any confidence that they're going to follow the law and the evidence and reach a true verdict?
I find it fascinating, Phil. And Phil Holloway is our guest. You can always check him out. Co-host of the MK True Crime Podcast. You can get that on YouTube or anywhere else you get your podcast, talking about true crime stories that are in the news right now as of today. August 8th, 2022, that was the raid on Mar-a-Lago. And it's almost as if these people that were his political opponents just couldn't help themselves. And if that ends up being the reason why he can convene a grand jury, the DOJ in Florida, you have to think they have to be kicking themselves.
Yeah, that would be rich. The whole thing, we can talk a long time about the Mar-a-Lago raid. It just wasn't. Look, if you were just trying to get back boxes of papers that he shouldn't have taken with him when he left office, just work that out.
It was already being negotiated.
Yeah, these are things that go to the National Archives. But I think they were afraid that he had all the receipts.
That's exactly what it was
on all this. Yeah,
that's the reason we brought it up earlier. Just the fact that think about what they did. They staged the pictures. They put top secret on a regular piece of printer paper. They typed out. That's not what top secret looks like. That's not this. You would have if things were labeled top secret, it's always in the same sticker form. At least it was in the Navy. It was always the same sticker form. I knew exactly what level of sensitivity each document had by what was written on it. Yeah. It wasn't printed off like I did it for a school project.
Yeah, it was labeled on the document itself.
Yeah. That's why, and we've talked about that so many times. The fatal error of raiding Mar-a-Lago. Maybe it doesn't help, as you talked about, but when convening a grand jury, Los.
Well, look, don't get me wrong. I think it could. It may not have been. It may be insulated from being a separate criminal act by virtue of the judge's search warrant, but that doesn't mean that it still can't be some overt act that furthers the conspiracy and therefore extends the statute of limitations.
Well, let's go. We've been talking about this, man.
Which would be I think I brought this up several weeks back, and I just kept saying August 8th, 2022. That's the if this all goes down in the way that would be advantageous towards this administration, it's because of that fatal error of you couldn't just leave his wife's panty drawer alone and stay out of his house.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Utterly
I've been saying this for the longest time, Phil, for the better part of a week. I go, if you just would have given him $5 billion for his wall and left his wife's panty drawer alone, chances are he does his 2 terms and he's out of your hair as of today.
And then on top of that, just the fact that they went into his house. Remember, because he said with Hillary, you know what, I've been elected, going to let that go, president's wife. And then they went into his house. I used the example when our house was broken into. It scared my son so much, he was a little bitty guy at the time, that he couldn't sleep in his own bedroom. It took us months and months and months to get past that. When you go into somebody's home, that's next level. And Donald Trump, being the guy that he is, they went into his home, his den, his safe space, the place where he lives. They could not step away from that, and he can't either. He ain't gonna let that go.
No, I imagine he's got a burr in his bonnet over that, but and understandably so. But hopefully he's keeping some safe distance between him and the Attorney General in this.
When you hear him talk, he just like the other day when
he's like asking Pam.
Yeah, that's right. He was like, "We're gonna be doing something about that." Pam, I'm looking at you. He's building that wall. Whether it's there or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I would advise him to stay way clear of any of this. Don't talk about it. Don't give the impression that you're talking to the Attorney General about it. Just steer clear. Try to insulate yourself. Just let them do their work.
Because again, there's supposed to be a separation. I think part of what did hurt Barack Obama and Eric Holder long term was going on, I think it was at the time, it was like 60 Minutes and saying, well, I'm Barack Obama's wingman. I'm like, we're not supposed to be.
Yeah, but it's exactly
That's not
opposite.
how it's supposed to work.
Right.
It's exactly opposite of how it's supposed to work. Man, we appreciate you taking the time to come in today. It's always great to catch up with you, and the conversation is so fascinating, which I can only imagine on the podcast, the MK True Crime podcast, be the same way.
Oh, listen, happy to be here. Always fun. I love listening to you guys when I'm out and about. It's a great show, great discussion as always. And if I can just ask a favor to anybody listening, if you want to follow me on X at Phil Holloway ESQ, I talk about these things a lot. We'll continue that conversation there on all of the topics we've been discussing this morning.
It's a great follow. You can get Los at Front Office Los, Jeray at Whiskey Click, and me at Tug Cowart. Of course, the station at Extra 106.3. Phil, thank you so much, man. I hope you have a great weekend.
You too, guys.
My mom is going to be so happy to know there's a true crime podcast covering today's stuff. I'm going to be like, Mom, here it is. She's like, yes.
She's going to listen to it all weekend long.
She's like, this one's from 10 years ago. I'm like, why don't you listen to stuff today?
That's right.
Phil's covering it for you.
Here's what's happening with Coburger right now, because that's such a fascinating story, too. Anyway, that'll do it for us. Beck is up next. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Live and local news talk continues at 3 p.m. with Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. It's the Kimmer Show, only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.